Hey, it's Ricky Carmichael, and you're watching the MotoXpod Show.
What's up, you guys? Jeremy McGrath here. You are listening to MotoXpod Show.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. We're back with episode 268 of the MotoXpod Show, the Vital MX MotoXpod Show, presented by Race Tech and Boyesen. We have a full lineup of guests tonight, including Monster Energy star Yamaha Racing's Levi Kitchen, Red Bull Factory KTM's Maximus Vohland, and GasGas Elite's Mark Fineis, who just got a fifth in East Rutherford in the Supercross Futures class. Before we get this thing going, I'm going to introduce my co-host in studio, run the cameras, Scotty Thompson. What's up, Scotty?
Oh, just, trying to recover.
It seems like we're doing good. We got audio and OBS, etc.
Yeah, I just don't have chat. Chat's not going.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it going.
You can go. Well, don't worry about that right now. Also in studio, my buddy, owner of 6 Feet Under Motocross, track I practice at a lot and go ride at, Steve Williamson. What's going on, Steve?
Man, not a lot. Just, pushing dirt, making things fun. And
yeah. Got a lot of rain today, so the track's underwater.
Yeah, we'll be rebuilding a lot in the next few days after it dries up a little bit, but it'll be good. Also on the line from Vital MX, my buddy, Michael Lindsay. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm just fixing stuff on the back end.
Okay. A few technical issues to begin with. We had a USB-C port issue, but I think we're good to go. Yeah, we're going to get into episode 268. A lot of great guests, and we're going to start with the Boyesen discussion segment brought to you by Boyesen Factory Racing's Rider Support Program. They're excited to spotlight the Rider Support Program, a comprehensive support system for motocross and off-road riders. The program offers participants exclusive access to Boyesen's products, yearly discounts, and the potential to become one of their new product development test riders. Join the community of Boyesen Factory Flyers by visiting boyesen.com and applying today. All right, guys, before we get to the show, to the guest here in just a little bit, ML, one of the topics, you and I had this discussion recently, and you've got a little knowledge on this topic, and it's something that you've been thinking about. Some of the 250 teams, such as Star and even Pro Circuit, have gear deals built into the team deals. The riders have to wear their gear, etc. And you just had some thoughts on that. Some things might be changing, or just you had some just thoughts on how that affects the teams and the riders, and I thought that'd be a cool topic to talk about.
Yeah, it's definitely changed as well. It went one way as we kind of lost true factory efforts in the 250 class as Honda passed off their program eventually to Factory Connection. When KTM got rid of their factory 250 program and gave it to TLD, and then Rockstar Husky was originally privatized. You see these 250 teams typically have done team-wide gear deals because it's a good amount of income for a 250 team. It's anywhere from on a smaller level factory 250 team, it could be just for the gear and helmet, 150, 200 grand. I think Geico's Shift Fox one was 350 or something back in the day. I've heard something around PCSR might be 500-600K or something along those lines. So it's money a private team needs to operate off of. And typically with 250 kids, it's unique because they're moving in and out of different teams a little more often than 450 guys. You don't know which ones are going to maybe make it for a gear brand. It maybe at times it didn't always make as much sense to brand the kids. So it's like, oh, let's pick a good team and work with them. But that has definitely changed the last couple of years, primarily with the Lawrences when Honda basically reopened their Factory 250 program when Factory Connection sadly went away and they absorbed Hunter and Jet. They were able to do their own gear deals, and that's a pretty good sum of money for a 250 rider to be able to lock down. And since then, we've seen KTM, of course, bring back their Factory 250 effort. So Vohland and the all are definitely lucky enough to have that. And now it sounds like Rockstar Husky is going the same direction. I do not believe you will see them in fly gear, fly helmets, it sounds like next year. Their riders seem to be negotiating gear deals for the 250s. And again, it kind of changes like the dynamic where it popped up of interest to me is you have Star Racing that right now is kind of the king of the castle when it comes to the program and the bike, sort of like Mitch was back in the day. I think riders are willing to go there for less money than other teams for the opportunity. Money, yeah, you can go to KTM. Now it sounds like you can go to Husky and get that style deal for gear stuff. Honda's got that going on. It back to Mitch, it kind of left me in this weird spot where I was like, man, that's kind of weird now for PC, where they aren't as sought after from maybe the equipment program side as they once were, but they also still are locked into a gear deal. So there's these other 250 opportunities that it can make these guys double or triple their income. It could change the dynamic of the 250 class even more, again, when it comes to like PC and some of these mid-level teams that are locked in gear deals, when, yeah, it does change those guys' contract amounts quite a bit.
So, yeah, it could affect the riders positively, right, if they can go get their own gear deal, or maybe even negatively. I don't know if it'd be negative, but some guys aren't going to bring the same attention from a gear company. Like, obviously, a Hayden Deegan is going to be way more sought after than, say, Nick Romano, who doesn't have a lot of results. But then for the team standpoint, where do they make up that money that they may lose from the gear deal?
I think it depends on the program. Like a KTM and Husky, of course, being a factory effort, I don't think, $100 grand turnaround there is like that big of a deal to them. The other thing you could do is you could sort of pass it off to the rider of, hey, instead of your salary, instead of it maybe being 150, maybe we, per rider, you take a little chunk out of theirs. I had this conversation actually with a mid-level team the other day, like, hey, at some point you have to evaluate, if you really want to be competitive in terms of getting some of these big names down the road, hey, how much of your rider's salary is the gear deal offsetting? Is it to the point that you could go to all your riders and go, hey, we're going to cut all your pay in half, your offer, but you can go do your own thing? Because like I said, if a rider's getting, say, 150 on their base salary or something like that, or 100, and you chop it down to 75 or 50, if they're a decent guy with some decent representation, they can easily go get more than that in gear deals. They can easily go get between boots, gear, helmet, 100, 200, 300 grand. And also be able to start like branding. And it also allows them to like brand and market themselves, of course, at an earlier point in the career, especially where, it used to be once you went to 450s, you did that, but we have so many guys in the 250 class that are hanging out for a lot longer periods of time. It would give them a jump start on being able to do some of their own gear, some custom colorways, get some butt patches they want on, do some branding, some stuff to sort of make them stand out.
Yeah.
Marketing themselves.
Yeah, and I guess looking at their futures, that's really important for those guys to establish that branding. And like you say, if it's not that big of a deal for the team, which when I hear a couple $100,000, I'm like, that's a lot of money. But I guess you're right. Yeah,
very true.
It will. And do you think like a TLD obviously is going to stay TLD? So will that have an effect on the riders? Probably it will have on choosing to go to those teams. They're gonna not maybe consider not going to certain teams because they could make a lot more money.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it's interesting because again, I don't mean to pick too hard at, but take like Pro Circuit. The dynamic has changed over the last decade or so between them and Sarga, and PC being the outfit that always had the best bikes, the best program. They could afford to pay riders maybe a little bit less than their competition. Yeah. Because it's like, hey, you'll make it up by doing well here. The bonuses are good. Everybody's bonus structure is pretty identical now on 250 factory level teams. So with that, I could see it affecting them and TLD, because especially in the Austrian side, it's like, well, okay, the other two, if you had somehow, if they all kind of had an opening and you're of interest to that OEM batch, it's like, well, if I could get a KTM or Husky, I'd probably do that because I can do my deals there and I can't do it at TLD. I'm kind of wondering with the PC thing, again, that really makes me wonder where that puts them in terms of negotiations with riders, just kind of a sought afterness. Again, if you're somebody that's really, really good, that can be branded well, especially like you said, it's interesting because you could have a couple riders that are top 5 guys, and some just don't have as much personality as others or as much connections. There still could be a big difference in their gear deal price. So for some of them, it could be a big amount of income. Some it could be an okay amount. But for those ones that it really could really pay off, again in the couple $100,000 range, it's a really big deal. Like, oh, if your KTM and your PC deal are identical base salaries, but the one allows you to go get 200 or 300 grand in gear deals, and on top of that, right now when the guys perform, like in the 450 class, say Eli Tomac wins, he's getting his purse money, he's getting his Yamaha bonus, he's getting a bonus from Alpine Stars, he's getting a bonus from Bell, he's getting a bonus from Oakley, and he's getting a bonus possibly from Monster individually. I don't know how the energy drink deal works in the case of the Monster Energy Star program, but like there's, it adds up. 250, you're getting your OEM bonus in your purse. You get gear deals involved. Hey, all of a sudden I can get not only my base salary from my gear deals, I can get bonuses on all those things for being on the podium or winning. So it's not just even base, it's also performance value. And then take even like Honda's case where the guys can even do energy drink on top of that. Again, it really adds up.
Jeez. Lucky lucky them.
Yeah.
For some of those teams, it could be it could make them rethink again the business model side of it. Like, okay, is it worth doing this? Like, is it worth parting ways and letting guys do their own thing? And it potentially, I'm not, it's hard to stamp, like anything can happen, but from the outside looking at just at that little statistic, I'm like, okay, this really could affect pro circuit going forward. Again, depending on the how the balance of power is, because at least Star's case, they can't do it. But again, pretty much if somebody's got an offer to go to Star right now, if it's competitive base money, they're going to go there. Like for the bike, for the program, it's got that allure to it. It's got that, people see the bike. Again, it's like how PC was before. It's like, man, I could go here and I know I could win.
Yeah.
Because I can on this bike. So if you believe in yourself, you can go there and pull it off.
That's going to be interesting to see how the next couple of years go with that. Before we proceed, we had some technical issues at the beginning of the show. I just want to let everybody know, if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, the chat's not working. We'll deal with it. We'll figure it out later on. I want to get you guys involved, and this next topic that we're going to talk about briefly comes from some of our listeners. But before I do that, I want to mention Race Tech Service Centers. Steve, did you know you can get the same great products, settings, and services that Race Tech offers locally to you with a tuner you can drive to and likely even see at the racetrack? It's pretty cool. Race Tech has a network of service centers around the globe who have access to the same parts and settings as Race Tech's headquarters in Corona, California. All you got to do is log on to racetech.com to find the Race Tech center closest to you. This week's featured Race Tech service center is DRS Suspension in Fresno, California. Tuner to many of the fastest mini bike racers in the country, and even swept the 65cc podium at Loretta's in 2022. If you're in the Fresno, California area, check out DRS Suspension. If you're anywhere else, racetech.com to find your local service center, and you can get your suspension tuned to perfection. One other topic I want to talk about before we get to Levi Kitchen, ML. We had a listener reach out. Again, MotoXpodShow@gmail.com is how you get a hold of us. You can send us your 60 picks, your procs, highs, and lows. If you want to get involved in those segments, we'll start reading them. But a listener reached out, and he said, I want to start with it. Well, I'm reading my own notes. What an idiot. Let's see here. This week, Travis Brock asked a question. I thought this would be perfect for ML. Teams that are running factory transmissions, I want to know how close they are to the gear ratios of a standard bike. I hear guys say they can clear a triple in first gear, which doesn't seem to be able to do on an OEM transmission. And then they say they're in fourth in the whoops, which seems crazy fast. So how close are the gear ratios on a factory bike compared to what we would buy stock?
I don't think they're that different now, because they are different. It's a little more minute now. Because you hear the OEMs year after year, like, oh, we've done this with our train to be closer to what the team, like Howie made a big push with that with their newest 250 tranny, supposedly mentioned like second and third is almost identical to what PC is doing. And then in 450, it's a little different. So between the two, so let's start with 450. 450, you do see 4-speeds occasionally still. The factory Yamaha 450, like Tomax bikes on a 4-speed right now. They just don't. And the way that works is you basically have a dummy gear in there. The gear, like the rule book's pretty gray.
Like TJ, like TJ the dummy.
I don't know. I don't know if you could talk right now with the way this has been starting out.
That's true. Fair enough.
So yeah, they don't need basically 450 supercross track. They can massage that around and move that around with the 4-speed. And yeah, they have super long first gears. 250s are not jumping triples in first gear, but 450 guys can. Like I remember when JB was MCR, like one of two factory components basically on his bike was a factory front brake, and they had the longer first gear assembled into his production transmission because he liked to hit triples in first. And yeah, the 450, it's so punchy. I think we look at Supercross triples like they're big. Again, they're only 60 feet. We all jump 60-foot tables at home all the time and stuff. They aren't that long. They're booters. So yeah, nice first gear, a little bit longer than stock could help these guys in really tricky conditions instead of trying to be in second and slide the clutch. Just have it in first and all the power's on tap and makes it easy. So that's definitely doable. And then move to the 250s. They're still pretty much 5 speeds. We say, oh, it sounds weird. Guys are hitting whoops in fourth. No, the majority of guys are hitting whoops in fourth. There are guys hitting whoops in fifth. Like McAdoo's infamous for that. And it's just because the 250s run out of power. If you can lug the thing in fourth or fifth, it can keep building power across the whoops because every time the rear tire goes between whoops, it spins up for a second, so the RPM rate can keep climbing. Where they've got them geared pretty tight in Supercross. To give you an example, the factory KTM 250s run a 1452 to 1453 in outdoors. The stock bike comes with 1451 to 1452. In Supercross, they're running a 1353, which would be equivalent to or is it 1351? Sorry, it's equivalent to like a 1454, 55. Like they're running it really tight, short, punchy feeling. So they're able to row through the gears pretty quickly. In terms of the transmission, what you see is these guys have enough roll speed. They don't need second gear to be that low. Their second gear is a lot taller, and it kind of overlaps with third, and third can even overlap with fourth a little bit in terms. So it makes the bike super rideable with the amount of power a factory 250 makes. You can almost make mistakes, and if you should have been in second overlaps hard enough in a third's still pretty peppy, but if you stayed in second, it'll run up into third where you could short shift out of second and third in a good place. If you run second really long, it shifts into third. It just makes all the power massage around those guys. And a big thing is most people, because I've actually know some people that haven't been like Joe below Weekend Warrior that don't like the transmission change on the production Cowie 250 because second is so tall now. They're having to go to first in the corner. So a lot of this is based on full speed these guys carry, their corner speed. It's just so much better than the rest of us, straight up. So yeah, some of those changes, you hear it on paper, you're like, oh, why don't we have something like that? And it's like, well, you'd actually hate it. You'd probably hate their suspension, you'd hate their work suspension, their trim.
Yeah.
But it's all just tailored around what those guys are capable of. And yeah, there are some. And then even one last thing on top of that, more I would say is there's also teams that have primary. The primary gear actually, like on the back of the clutch hub, can be changed. Because say you take a bike that production has, say, a 1349, and that's like a long wheelbase. Most of your pros run long wheelbase bikes. But the power is better on a 1350, but the way it works out with chain length, like you can't run the long wheelbase. The chain's too slacked out, so you end up pulling it in. So a lot of us will do that and just put up with it because it doesn't bother the regular person as much. What they'll do is go, okay, we like the wheelbase of the 1349, but we like the power of the 1350. We're going to change the final primary before it drives out to basically math out that the bike with a 1349 is now acting like a 1350. So we were able to keep our wheelbase, but we've gotten the power change of that. And that requires like the primary gear off the clutch and some of the accessory gears to be changed. So that's another thing a works team will go through and pretty much have made.
Well,
glad I'm not a mechanic because that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, I hope we answered Travis's question. I will. I take a little offense to your comment about most of us don't have the roll speed these guys do. I don't know, man. I was roll speeding it up this weekend, ML, and I actually did have to jump that triple in second one time. I seat bounced it because I missed the double. What, Steve?
Sounds like a big triple.
It's 110 feet.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay. Did you not see my video that I posted, ML?
Yeah, you said you jumped that in second?
Yeah, because there's a double before it, and I got really, really cross-rutted and missed it, and the guy behind me was going to pass me if I didn't jump it, so I just crossed my fingers and shifted down and, seat bounced it and made it. I mean, I did land on top of it, but Yeah.
I bet that thing was ragged.
It was awesome.
Bleeding.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Johnsonville later on after ML's off the phone. One more question before we get to Levi Kitchen. ML, we had our 5th winner this weekend in Justin Barsha. With 3 to go, do we get a 6th?
99% chance of no. We got to our season average of 5. I don't see 6.
Yeah.
Love to hear from you guys who you think it would be. Like off the top of my head, the only person I think that's capable of it, but I don't think the form is good enough right now is Anderson. There's a shot. There's always a chance, but I think it's pretty low. I just these final races, I think Barsha's on such a tear right now, Kenny, and then you got the three title contenders. I just don't see it.
Okay, we do have our next guest on the line, so we don't have a ton of time to get into it. But just yes or no, Steve, can we have? Do we see a 6th winner?
What about Plessinger? How is he feeling after last week? I mean,
I think he'll be back. I think he's okay. Yeah,
he's a good mud rider too. So
maybe if we get some rain, okay. Scotty, yes or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no on that. I think I could even whittle it down to I don't think it's gonna be more than 2 or 3 guys that could even win it. So
okay, all right. I'm gonna say yes. We do see a 6th winner. I'm throwing it out there. Just so I look like a genius if it works out. WUSA is your source for all things wheels. If you're looking for a complete set of wheels for your bike, we have something for every budget. If you want to use the same wheels used by Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, Malcolm Smith, Christian Craig, Chad Reed, and Jeremy McGrath, just to name a few, we have what you need. We have the exclusive W Edge wheel set starting at $799. As the exclusive importer of Hahn, Kite, and Talon hubs, as well as XL and DID rims, we can build your dream wheels. Give us a call or check us out at www.wusa.com and follow us on Instagram. Mention the MotoXpod Show to get a discount. Tonight, WUSA brings us from the Monster Energy Star Yamaha Racing Team, Levi Kitchen. What's up, Levi?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Sorry about keeping you on hold there for a few minutes. Man, I want to just talk about your season to start with. You're currently 4th in points and only 6 down on Enzo, so I would assume your goal right now is to get that 3rd place. But I think people probably forget that you really are only in your 2nd season, and last season was only 2 starts, I believe. Like, you're still basically a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was unfortunate how last season went. So in a way, as far as experience wise, yeah, I would say I don't have near as much experience as a lot of those guys. So, I mean, to be where I'm at right now is, I'm happy with it. I've been very inconsistent, unfortunately. I think DNFing San Diego hurt me a little bit in points, obviously. And then, I don't know, I've just been kind of all over the board. I mean, it was nice to get a win. And then, the struggle for me is like kind of years past. It's like, I mean, obviously my starts are good at times. I mean, they're great. Like Glendale, whole shot every main. But then again, I have some moments where I don't get off the line too great. And then it really costs me. So, I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy though.
Yeah. Do you feel the contributing factor to your inconsistencies is the starts, or is it a number of things that you're still working on?
I would say majority of it starts. I'm just one of those guys. Like if I start up front, I wouldn't say easily, but the pace kind of comes to me. Like I can see the pace those other guys are going and everything. So that's affects me a little bit. And then, obviously this last weekend was kind of a wash for me. It didn't go as planned, and with the rain and everything, I thought I would really do well in the mud, but I stalled my bike on the first lap and then was dead last. And really, I rode like a pansy, I'll tell you that, until luckily I found Pierce Brown about halfway through the main and hopped in behind him and realized everybody was jumping pretty much damn near everything. So, I started jumping everything and I started riding better at the end, but by then it was way too late. So yeah, that was a good learning experience for me. I didn't think that people would be tripling rhythms and all that good stuff in the mud. So
me either.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was pretty crazy.
Go ahead, ML.
Yeah, I was curious, Levi. So, I mean, Pacific Northwest, we know it rains a lot up there. Would you say you're particularly comfortable in the mud? Hearing you say that you weren't jumping a lot. I'm guessing you have plenty of mud practice, but would you consider yourself a high good mud rider?
I would have thought I was, but I don't know. I think it depends. Like that wasn't, to me, the way we were riding it wasn't really like a normal mud race. I mean, like I said, they were pretty much jumping everything and all that. So those guys were bonsaiing, puddle splashing and stuff. So I think I am decent in the mud. I also have, unfortunately, last year before Millville, when I got hurt in outdoors, I broke my wrist in the mud. And then on Supercross, I broke my shoulder on my rookie year in some kind of slicker conditions. So I don't know. I almost have a little bit of a mental block when it comes to mud, especially on a Supercross track. But definitely going to practice it more. And unfortunately, like I moved from the Northwest, when I was in the B class or whatever. So I haven't really raced in the mud, and I can't even tell you the last time. I mean, probably maybe little bikes. So it's been a long time.
The thing that tripped me out the most on the opening lap, like seeing the amount of standing water on the track, I was like, okay, that means it's not absorbing. There's base. I kind of expected, at least for the first couple laps at 250 main, for quite a bit of stuff to be jumpable. But like, cameras are rolling. You see Anstey on one of the rhythms go like 3 in or something. And the amount of water you guys are landing in my head, all I can think is, okay, like you're going to hit that. The bike's going to get pulled down quite a bit. It's going to completely change your thought process on the timing. And I was, again, blown away at a couple of guys how quickly they just adapted and went, continue going 3-3 through something. How, did that mess with you at all, landing into those puddles as much as they pull down the bike? Did it make you have to, really recalculate, okay, how much faster do I have to go as much as the bike's being pulled down, or was it not that bad?
I didn't notice it too much, but then again, I mean, like I said, I was pretty much rolling around back there. So, I don't know. I didn't feel like it affected it too much. I did notice late in the race, I'd go up to the triple and it got harder every lap. And I think it was just because of how much mud was on my bike. So I could definitely feel the weight. But yeah, it was weird, man. Like the base of the track was much harder than I had assumed it would be. And obviously by the 450 main, it was pretty much smoked. But yeah, those first few laps, I mean, those guys were moving.
Hey, Levi, I just kind of was going to ask you about a lot of the, it seems like other than pretty much the Lawrence brothers, there's been a lot of inconsistencies in guys where you yourself, you'll have a win and then the next race won't go as well. And we've seen that on both coasts. Do you think that is there a root cause of that? Is it track conditions? Is it just the level of pace that we're at in the class? Do you kind of think that there's maybe a root cause of the lack of inconsistencies, or is it just kind of the way we're at this season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, the inconsistent part, I think, is just, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of it's confidence. Like sometimes I don't, maybe I don't believe in myself enough. And, a lot of it comes with the start. Like when I start up there, I mean, pretty much every time it's went pretty well. So yeah, I don't know. And it's kind of weird. You do see it on both coasts. I mean, on our coast, RJ's been rock solid. And it seemed like forever it was just, 1, 2, and 3 was him and Lawrence and McAdoo. But yeah, like that 4th, 5th, like all of us back there, it has definitely been all over the board. And I'm not really sure why it is. I think a lot of it's just like, for me, it's just adapting to that speed. And, it's hard to run that speed. And I think everybody obviously, we all want to win. So we kind of have to push over our limit. And luckily that's the thing is I've also kind of, if something's out of my comfort zone this year, I don't really have like that dumb young kind of not care attitude anymore, just because I really wanted to just get a full season in and come into outdoors, healthy. And so, yeah, that's the biggest thing. I'm just, maybe it's caution here and there is kind of the inconsistent part. When I get a bad start, I'm probably a little too cautious. So I think that's probably my case.
Hey, Levi, this is Steve from 6 Foot Under MX. Speaking of consistent on your starts, you've had some really good ones this year, then not so good. Is it the bike? Is it mental? Is it technique? Or do you have an idea?
I don't really know, to be honest. I mean,
every time.
I think the advantage we have is, we have a fast bike. So, but in 20 feet, if it's a short start, like once you get a wheel on somebody, you kind of have it. And, all the longer starts like Glendale, I would just line up outside all those guys, and I just wouldn't, they'd all shut off, and I'd just hold on a little bit longer. So that was kind of my advantage. And, I don't know. It's just definitely inconsistent for me. And like this last weekend, and obviously the main was slick, but even in the heat, like I did a normal start like I normally would, but that dirt was kind of rocky and loose, and I spun super bad. So yeah, a lot of it's, I don't know, just the different conditions and different dirt. So I just got to get it down.
Levi, I want to go back to something you mentioned a moment ago. You mentioned lack of confidence at times, and you are a successful amateur rider. You have the speed. You've won a Supercross race. You led some races. I mean, you clearly have the ability. You know what you have talent-wise. What do you think breeds that lack of confidence? Obviously your results aren't what you want them to be, but it's not like you've been getting 20th. Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough after a while when, you feel like the worst is when you feel like you're riding well, and it, you still don't end up where you would like to. So I think that's part of it. And, also just kind of the unknowns. I mean, these guys that have had a few seasons under their belt, like I'd say it's probably pretty easy for them because, they have so many races and just that experience, and, there's no second guessing like that they can do it. And for some reason, like, I don't know, I there's times where, whether it's a rhythm section or whatever the case is, like, I just simply got to believe in myself more. Like it's definitely all me. And I struggled with the same thing, on an amateur level. And then it's like, almost like once you start seeing success, it becomes easier. And, that was what I was kind of bummed about, like with the way that the mud race went. Cause I actually did feel like after Glendale, obviously sucks getting all the whole shots and getting past, but
Right.
I still felt like it was a good race for me. And,
okay.
So I did have confidence going in this weekend, and even qualifying, to me, like I can kind of brush it off. I'm not the greatest in qualifying. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just going to take time, but I think, once you do it a few times, it becomes easier.
Sure.
I was curious. We were actually talking about this right before we had you on the line, Levi. So a little bit of a dynamic that's changing in the 250 class, at least it looks like it is for you, the rider. Some of these factory level teams are having the option to do your own gear deal. I know that you are somebody, it sounds like, is in a contract year. Does that really change your opinion at all of the offers you get in terms of financials, of like what the team offer is versus being able to do some of your own deals, being able to brand yourself? Or do you, at the level you're at, is it purely where do I think I'm going to perform the best? How do you weigh that up? And do you think that sort of change with some more of these teams allowing that, do you think that's going to affect anything going forward, or affect a decision for somebody of your level?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It definitely, when you hear you can do your own team or your own gear deal and all that kind of stuff, like obviously money comes into play, and, money's not everything, but it's important. And, but also winning's important. You can make more money winning, from bonuses and stuff than you can from just your set salary. So, to a certain extent. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see more teams doing it. It's hard to say. I mean, these teams, they also have to make money to be able to do the teams that they do. And that's where a lot of their income is, I would say. So, I don't think you'll see, especially a team like Star Racing, when they have simply too many people to be able to pull that off, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, it was one we kind of talked about. We definitely didn't think, it was sort of the weight of like, when you take Star, of course, you have the quality of the bike and the program that's the allure. Because like you said, if you can win, the bonuses will more than make up for it. But yeah, with Honda, KTM, and it sounds like Husky doing, it's like, oh, there's some options. But then, weighing in the bike and the performance comes up a lot. Because I think that even came up back in the day with like when FC first kind of started getting aggressive with guys, is like, oh, and I guess this could be the mentality of a rider. It's like, hey, at that time PC was the big heyday. It's like, I could go to PC, the base salary isn't a lot, I can't, the pay's a lot lower, but I'm going to win, and winning pays well. Versus, I could make all this up front. Oh, I guess if I only get 1 win or 2 wins a year, who cares? I made a lot more base salary. But yeah, if you want to win, ultimately, being on top of the podium pays the bills a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. And also just for I don't think there's a racer out there. I mean, maybe when you're older and you're just trying to get a paycheck, maybe at the 450 level, but us 250 guys, especially, like, I doubt there's a guy out there who is okay with, getting 3rd, 4th, and 5th and, making good money off their salary. But at the end of the day, like, for us to have an opportunity to go to 450s or whatever the case is, like, we need to be able to win. And I think that outweighs the financial part of things. And I think that's everything, is just knowing you can win with the program.
Yeah. Levi Kitchen, brought to you tonight by WUSA.
Levi, branding is always an important thing with you guys, especially at the level that you're at. And I really like the whole chef thing. I've talked to you about it before last time you were on, but I just kind of wanted to know where you're at with the fans and how's it going, and if you notice more attention because of it. Are people giving you recipes? Do you, is it stuff like that? Like, what is it like having the chef being
Here's my recipe to win?
Yeah. What's it like having the chef being like your thing?
I mean, I think it's cool. I didn't think it would ever, happen the way it did. I don't remember actually who started. I want to say it was Wygant, maybe, but, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's definitely cool. And I think it's a great way for me to brand myself. And, moving forward, it's kind of hard because we just, with racing and stuff, like, we're pretty well focused on that. So I'm actually trying to start getting better about the branding thing. And, I would love to, especially like Washougal this year and stuff. I'm trying to kind of give back to the fans more. And, I would love to see people wearing, like, I want to somehow, get some chef hats involved or something. So
Cool.
People can wear them around the track. And, it's definitely important. Like you said, the branding thing can go a long way, and, you can make a lot more money and, just get that exposure that I think is necessary.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, a cookbook would fly off the shelves, dude. You got to do it.
I don't really know how to cook, though.
I was going to ask, do you eat cooking?
I'm not the greatest cook.
You don't have to come up with yourself. You can find somebody else. Your mom can't cook. Somebody can cook.
My mom can cook for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just pull out
behind your RV.
I do kind of like the idea of like a straw hat that's in the shape of a chef hat or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about somehow just, grilling out at the Star Rig and making food for the fans.
Jetstone donuts.
I wouldn't have the time for that. So
I'm thinking
some ribs, brisket.
Google, you set up.
People would come back saying they have food poisoning. I get in trouble. So,
bro, hey, you just take care of the media and the press box at Supercross, and we'll promote the crap out of it, man. You send up some, like, even if it's hot dogs, send up
some chef dogs,
some Levi Kitchen hot dogs.
Yeah.
Woo-wee. Yeah. All right. Levi, so again, I mentioned at the beginning of this thing that really you don't have that many Supercrosses under your belt. So what I want to know is just what has been your biggest improvement? Clearly not starts, but what have you improved on the most that you're really proud of yourself for?
I feel like I haven't really got to show it because we haven't had like a big set of them, but I mean, I've been pretty damn good in the whoops. Like, I would like, I'm not amazing and I'm not no Christian Craig, but, compared to, when I first got on Supercross and stuff, like it's nice for me. Like those don't really come into mind for me. Like when I'm going around a Supercross track, like that's everybody and every rookie, I'm sure you could ask. That's obviously like the biggest struggle. And for me, I've definitely gotten better and just more confident. So I'm proud of that because I know it can if that's a struggle, I think for people, it's going to be a tough run for sure. So, like I said, we've kind of lucked out. Like last weekend, I think there was 7 whoops total. So, on that case, there wasn't very many, but somewhere like Oakland, that one was fun because we had a lot of them. So, I'm stoked on that.
Cool. Good for you, man.
I was this one's a little bit of throwback, but I actually got this email a couple weeks ago. Somebody was asking me basically if the steg pegs thing had ended, and in Supercross, I know you haven't been running them indoors this year, and I was wondering if that's down to you figuring out something different technique wise, or is it something that kind of only because of the way you ride the bike in outdoors versus Supercross, is it something you only found benefit in outdoors and it doesn't really work with your riding position in Supercross?
Yeah, good question. I actually, I've been riding outdoors obviously lately, and I got those bad boys back on. So, no, I tried them, like the first week on Supercross, and it was definitely not beneficial. It's actually a little sketchy just because the way you like lock into a set of whoops and everything, you don't realize it. But I mean, if something goes a little south, like you have to kind of get even further back than those steg pegs. So I was finding myself like, if I got sketchy, well, now I can't move anymore. And same thing, like I would go to seat bounce like a 3-in or something, and I'd catch myself like if I got a little front end low, like there was no movement for me, like I couldn't get far enough back, and I just didn't want to risk like having a big one because I was kind of stuck in one spot. So and with outdoors, I don't at least me, I don't like sit down a whole lot when I turn or anything like that. And on Supercross, there's just really no benefit for them.
We figured out how to get a cut of the sales. Talk about this branding, this marketing. I feel like you got to be getting a cut of these from the U.S. because before that, I feel like it was only off-road guys. I've actually seen it pop up a little bit, out something.
Yeah.
So,
no, they're kind enough to, they at least hook me up with them. And so that's really all I ask. And, it's been cool because I think it's opened some eyes. And I really think people are trying it. They probably don't. A lot of them won't say that they're trying it. But, I think there are people out there that have given them a shot. And there's even a couple guys on my team that run them now. So,
Hey Levi, I saw one of the pictures that we have going of you on our YouTube live is you had your goggles off, and I was wondering how far into the race did you make it, and like did you try to hold on before ripping them off, and what was it like once you had to take them off?
Yeah, I went till 2 laps to go, I think, but eventually, man, I could not see anything, and that was another good lesson for me, though. I think I should have just left them on because once I took them off, it was even worse. I didn't really realize the rain was like still coming down, so it was a pain in the ass to see after I threw them. But luckily it was pretty late into the race.
Speaking of this weekend, that delay you guys had before the main, did that really throw you off your game? Did it allow you to refocus? I mean, obviously it's not something you'd want to do every week, but was that a difficult thing to be on the line, ready to go, shut it down, start all over again?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it definitely I'm not just saying it because I didn't do good, but no, for me, it was definitely, it threw me out of focus. And also I don't know, I kind of reached the point, we were under there so long, and I was hungry for one. I mean, I was there was luckily granola bars in the vending machine. So I had my phone down there because I listen to music. So I'm using Apple Pay, buying granola bars out of the vending machine. So that I was able to tie myself over with that. But no, it was definitely kind of tough. And at some point, like I was saying, you almost are just like, man, can we just get this over with? And I feel like that attitude isn't good to go on a race because at the same time, you're almost like, let me just get this over with. And I don't know. It was tough. And I wish they would have been able to run it, in the dry, but we got another shot at Salt Lake to race the other guys too. So
absolutely. All right. I have one more question for you. I don't think you're gonna be able to give us much of a straight answer, but it is a contract year. There are rumors out there. do you have anything planned, set? Do you know what 2024 holds?
No, not yet. I mean, they're obviously contract year, and a lot of people talk. So, but no, I'm, it's a tough place for me for sure. But it's it's what we all really work so hard for. Is at least there's people calling my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. ML, you got anything else before we let him go?
No, I'm good.
Well, Levi, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I want to see you get some not revenge, but I want to see something better out of you at Salt Lake City, man. I want you up there on the podium. Show those boys what you got.
Oh yeah, I'll do my best.
All right, Levi. Hey, thanks for always coming on when we ask. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime,
Y'all
man.
have a good night.
You too. Take care.
All right, bye.
All right, same. Levi Kitchen tonight, brought to you by WSA. Appreciate him coming on. ML, so I think you're about to wrap up and take off. I do want to get your 6D picks for Nashville.
Oh,
450 class.
I haven't looked at the weather again. How likely is this mutter situation?
My understanding is it's a lot less likely than it was. I haven't looked percentage-wise, but I've been told it might not even rain Saturday.
I'm trying to think of last Nashville conditions. I'm gonna go 2 in a row for what I forget. Are we 1 through 3 or 1 through 5? What am I throwing you?
1 through 3.
Barsha, Sexton, Tomac. That's my 1 through 3 for Nashville.
Okay, we got them in. We'll see if you're a winner or a loser in a few days.
Probably. Sure. Hey, I got one for you. Right before we jump to Levi, you spoiled it and said you had 6 winners.
Yeah.
But I didn't any reasoning why there were 6 winners. So come on, lay it on me. How are we getting a 6th winner here?
Because I want there to be. Damn it. Yeah.
Well,
that's not how life works, bud.
And, I guess you're going to will it into existence, but I still don't know who the rider is.
Jason Anderson wins Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Yep. There you go.
Wow.
Stamp it.
Okay. What are we losing on this bet?
I'll cut the pony.
You already used that one.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Sorry, that was time burner.
That's all I got, man. I don't know. I think Jason's going to get one. I want 6 winners, and I'm hoping for the best. So I'm willing it into existence.
Well, this is a little bit of a jump at, but let me throw you one then.
Okay.
How many winners are we going to have outdoors in the 450 class, and who do you think it would be?
Motos or overalls?
Overalls.
Yeah, motos, it could get a decent response saying overalls.
Let's see. I'm going to say Sexton, Tomac. Gotta give Webb at least one. Oh, Jet's gonna win one. Come on.
Yeah, an overall.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of has.
Oh yeah,
so. Jet won an overall.
Yeah.
I don't. Webb's never won an overall outdoor 450, correct?
I don't think so. I'm gonna say 5. All same as Supercross, but Barsha, Tomac, Sexton, Jet, Webb.
I have an extension question for ML if we have time.
Go ahead. Yeah, we got.
Yeah. How many overalls are won without a moto win? How many 2-2s, 2-3s do we see?
In 450s across 11 races, 1.
You said 1. How many do you think will be like a win, and then either the first, second moto is off the podium?
1.
1. All right. I like it.
How many do you think?
I think outdoors. If anything, I think outdoors is worse, in my opinion. I feel like outdoors is worse than Supercross for once you have 2 or 3 ringers get their momentum going. I don't know. I don't know if it's just such a long season grind, but I feel like dudes really give up in outdoors for the later part of the season if they're not part of the conversation. If you get what I mean.
We definitely saw that last year.
I feel settles, and I feel like that's a lot more common. Like, for instance, like guys when they click out there, like how Osborne is here, there's just something about outdoors when everything clicks. Like, it's Supercross, like a guy being at 95% of the dude running 100%, like the pace difference is pretty minor still, but outdoors it can be a couple seconds a lap. These guys can drop each other, and yeah, I think once we get past the first couple rounds, as much as we hope and wish it'll be 5 or 6 dudes battling for this, I think it settles in like usual. And yeah, we end up just having a couple dudes to talk about now. Who that's going to be, we'll see. But it would not shock me one bit.
How many winners, Steve?
Outdoors, I'd say 4.
4. It's probably more accurate, but all right, ML. Appreciate you jumping on and helping us out with Levi and those topics at the beginning of the show. Because yeah, I didn't have answers for those, so thank you.
Oh, you got no more fun topics for me?
No, we got a couple small topics, and we're gonna get into Max Vohland here in a minute, and yeah, then Mark Fineis.
Oh God, my brain! You said you wanted to get into Max Vohland in a minute. Ooh.
Dude, he always says something like that. It's like I want to touch on.
Sorry, I didn't realize you guys were such perverts.
Yeah, I want to touch on Barsha a little bit.
Man, yeah,
you need to sound gay. Drop so badly.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you guys are awful human beings.
Terrible.
All right, ML. I'll holler at you after the show. Appreciate you.
No problem.
All right. See ya. Thanks to Michael Lindsay for jumping on. I don't know why you guys have to be buttholes. We've got a few minutes before we get to Maximus Vohland. I want to talk about Luxon. When it comes to triple clamp, suspension, and chassis parts, there's no comparison. Luxon MX makes the best parts you can buy. Luxon's advanced engineering background and techniques allow them to develop products that are unlike the rest, lighter and stronger with optimized stiffness to enhance your riding comfort and precision. Luxon products are designed, engineered, and made in the USA, so check them out online at luxonmx.com. Don't forget, all orders of $100 or more ship free within the continental US, and you can save 10% on all their products with promo code MotoXpod. Not bad. You can get you some Luxons for your Honda there, Steve. Yeah. Be riding a little faster, a little smoother. You keep pointing at them.
Yeah, they look good.
They look good, don't they? Yeah, they work
really
good. Let's talk about East Rutherford. Lightning delay. First time we've seen anything like that in our history that anybody can remember. Yeah. Kind of wild. A mutter, but honestly certainly not like a Daytona mutter, Steve. Like it wasn't bikes were getting buried, right? The track condition was very wet. I'm sure it was very slick, but it wasn't as bad as it looked like it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like really deep, but like I said, Levi said it was, had a hard base, so it didn't really go anywhere.
Right.
Not that bad. Like at the end of the 450, yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
That's what I was going to say. At the very end, it was pretty gnarly, but I was surprised when the 250s went off that they were tripling and doing a lot of the rhythms, but it didn't last very long.
No.
Were you surprised at did it throw you off with the lightning delay? Like they cleared the whole stadium. I guess everybody was just in the corridors. Can you imagine the whole stadium at one time?
So
yeah, the line for beer was probably insane.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's one of the things I was wondering is how many did they even let them do? Because usually after a certain point in time, they don't let them drink anymore. I was about to say,
they better have.
Did they open back up? But it's always a different experience for me because I watch them replays because I work on Saturday nights.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, I got on there and I started watching, and I was like, I cut to like a gap, and I saw the LCQs, and then I was like, why is there all these huge? Why is it so long? Why is there so? Why is the broadcast 5 hours? Yeah, like why is it so long? And then I finally realized that.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, because it said 5 hours. I was like, 5 hours? What happened? And then realized that it was a rain delay and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But my question is how far away were they from calling it till Sunday? And also, why didn't they just they knew the rain was coming all day.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't we just bump it up an hour? If we had bumped the time to start an hour and a half, they would never even have.
TV. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was on NBC for sure, but I know, obviously, but
I think it was a replay on NBC. Or was it live? I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it was on NBC. That could be a reason. But then also, how many times in the past did we say, it's probably going to rain, and it doesn't, and you just don't really know. So,
but then
really the issue wasn't the rain; it's the lightning.
On the broadcast, though, they're like, we're racing another thing tonight. We're racing the rain, and so it's like,
but it was the lightning that was actually the issue.
I know, but if we were racing that storm all day, then why didn't we just, let's cut off the little rest area an hour and let's just start it.
I just don't think it works like that.
It should.
What about all the fans that are getting there at 6:45 for a 7 o'clock
You
race.
can't mass text all the people that are on Ticketmaster?
I don't even give my no. It just
Or
doesn't
email?
work like that. Some people get their tickets from friends or one tickets or.
You haven't realized that I live in a perfect world where
I
everything is
realize
possible.
I realize.
Utopia somewhere.
Yeah.
Acting like an idiot. You're the idiot. Don't be an idiot. Changed my life.
It's usually reserved
Okay.
for TJ. But
Anyways, well then my first question was, how far away were we from postponing it to Sunday?
I don't think we were even close. I didn't think we were even close to a lightning delay because we've never seen it. So I would say 0% chance right now that they would have delayed.
So they would have raced it like 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, I think so.
Man, that'd have been cool.
Not for the riders.
the riders have been
Even the press
gone.
conference. I was texting Sean. I was like, are we still doing a press conference? Because like the link for Zoom was no good anymore, I thought. And he was like, well, yeah. Okay, I figured these guys are just ready to go.
So
now.
what time did it finish there?
I don't even know. Well, I think so. It should have been over at 9 o'clock here, but it was like over an hour extra. So that'd be 10 o'clock here, 10:30. So 11:30 there. Somewhere
Wow.
around 11:30.
Yeah, that's a late night at the
midnight?
stadium.
Yeah, something like that. Max Anstie with his first win. Yes, it was a mutter win, but he got a win. Does that mean they come easier now? Do we see any more wins out of Max for the rest of the year? How many more does he have?
I think he was kind of putting himself in the mix to have a possible win all year. Pull a start like he did and check out. I think that could have happened without the weather. So the fact that he got one in the weather makes sense, but also at the same time, I think that he was just as likely to win one either way.
I'd picked RJ to win the showdown, and I still think RJ could have because he was really fast in the heat.
I felt so bad for him
for his slip and slide.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. He was trying to get back. You could tell he was just like at one point he was like, "Dude, just come get me. I'm done." Like he was like, "I'm over it. Just come get me. I'm not finishing this race." He had like 40 pounds of mud just packed on everywhere. He was done.
Steven, how about like Kenny looked good?
Yeah.
I mean, he got passed by Eli at the end, but just throughout the day, he looked more aggressive than I feel like I've seen him in a while. Like he was moving the bike in the air and just kind of. I was really impressed.
Set up, I think they're getting that thing pretty dialed.
Yeah,
really are.
So, could Kenny get another win?
Well, that wouldn't change.
I know, but I'm just asking. Like, I mean, I said Jason Anderson at Salt Lake City, but why not Kenny?
I think any of the guys that are on the list of have won can get a start, and anything can happen after that. I thought that really it's going to be one of the guys, and I really don't see Cooper getting a win.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of don't either.
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
I think the only way he gets back into the championship is like a second, and Tomac has a weirdo 8th or 9th.
I think Sexton wins out. I mean, had we not had the weather, I still think he won out. I want him to. I'm willing things into existence because I want it to tighten the championship.
I honestly don't see somebody besides Tomac or Sexton, maybe Barsha. I think those are really the only.
Barsha's gonna be on fire now.
Yeah, I really think that's the only 3 guys that I realistically can see winning a race the last 3.
All right. X-Brand has quietly grown into one of the premier goggle choices available, using some of the most grueling conditions by 2022 GNCC XC2 champion Lyndon Snodgrass, the 2022 GNCC ATV Pro Champion Bryson Neal, Factory Huskies Craig DeLong, who recently won a GNCC in the mud. I feel like everybody should have been running GNCCs at East Rutherford. But visit xbrand.com, check out the new Lucids, go to your local dealership, ask for X-Brand, distributed through WPS. Tonight, X-Brand Goggles brings us from Red Bull Factory KTM, my buddy Maximus Vohland. What's up, Max?
Oh, what's up, guys?
Good. Not much, man. Good to hear from you. We tried to get Doc Smith in studio tonight, but I guess he's just too good for us now.
You guys he's probably playing video games or something, or out working on his bike.
Yeah, what a loser. Well, Max, listen, man, East Rutherford, I thought you looked really good. I thought you showed a lot of aggression. I thought you showed a lot of aggression at multiple rounds this year. We just had Levi Kitchen on, and I think people forget you really don't have that many Supercross finishes under your belt. You're still young. You're still learning this thing. You're still training. But I feel like you've improved quite a bit in the aggression category, especially this season.
Yeah, absolutely. This weekend for sure was kind of like, we're getting towards the end of the season, and contract year for me. I'm out there fighting for a ride. So, a little bit of like, man, I need to show people really what I'm capable of. And, I liked the track when I got there, and the way the dirt was, it was techy and ruddy, which kind of fits my style. And then, also the mud I was kind of stoked on. I mean, I would have rather race it dry than muddy, but I had no problem racing the mud out there.
Hey, Max, we talked about your speed getting better and stuff. When you were in that heat following RJ, you followed him pretty close. And
good point.
Yeah, you were on him for a while. And my question for you is, when you get into the lead and you're following a guy like RJ and you're running that pace, how comfortable do we feel running that pace? And then kind of where do you think maybe he's kind of getting away from you, or where do you think that you kind of could work on to maintain that for a whole main?
Yeah. Honestly, in the heat, I was behind him and I was pulling off of him, and I had a few spots actually where I was closing, and I actually got really close at one point, and then a lapper kind of got in my way. And with me, I feel like when I get broken off the toe, I just don't have, when you're right behind someone, you can see mistakes that they make, and you can close up really tight and, really get onto the toe. But I just had a lapper get in my way. He hopped in right in front of me, and I lost the toe. And then that's it. It's like when I break off the toe, I don't have that, or the experience or whatever to really go that same speed that he's going, unless I'm right there seeing him do it. That was really the only thing that I'm missing, I think, is really be able to do that speed on my own. But I feel like that really comes with racing experience and being out front more, and also racing more Supercross.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. Well, what is your biggest strength? This is
my biggest strength right now is, I think, being technically pretty good on the bike. When the tracks get ruddy and tech, that's when I feel like I shine my most. When guys kind of struggle to jump stuff because it's ruddy, or there's holes on the faces of the jumps and they got to move, I feel like I have the ability to search left and right and figure the track out quite fast, and just really having that technical ability. I feel like that's my big advantage I have over a lot of the guys out there.
Cool. Yeah, I think your BMX background, I see that when you ride, you're very smooth and technical, like you just said. I feel like much like Levi, who we just had on, start consistency is a struggle, and I think whoops are still a little bit of a struggle. And I wonder if you agree, first of all, and if you do, if you feel that's technique or maybe strength, or what that is. And you may not even agree with what I said.
On starts, I feel like the beginning of the year was kind of off and on, but recently my starts at the races have been really solid. Glendale, all my starts were good. And Seattle, my start was good, both starts, and in the races this past weekend were also very good, especially for a mud race. The starts are pretty crucial. So
sure, the
last 3 races have been good. The ones before that have been kind of off and on. So I feel like I've got my starts pretty solid right now. And when it comes to the whoops, I think that's a common thing people say about me is I'm not very good in the whoops. But for me, I'm tall, lengthy. I mean, yes, I jump the whoops a lot here and there. One, that's kind of a technical thing to do, and that's kind of what I had to resort to as a rookie, because when I was a rookie, of course, you're not good at skimming whoops. So that's one thing I feel like I have an advantage is I can definitely jump whoops better than a lot of the guys out there. But when it comes to skimming, at Glendale, I was, I believe, like 3rd or 4th fastest in the whoops, and those whoops were tough, gnarly, and chunked. And when it comes to whoops, I'm not scared of them. I only had 1 crash in the whoops this year compared to the last few years where I've crashed multiple times in the whoops. So
right.
The whoops, I feel like I have the speed and I have the ability to do them. I don't feel like they're really a problem for me now.
Okay.
Yeah, Max, we've talked about a lot of the things that you're working on. You're at the end of the day, you're still a kid that's growing up, and you're becoming an adult, and that's a process for anybody. You're also doing that while competing in one of the toughest sports that I think is out there. And I personally feel that your story, obviously your story is not over yet. We got a long ways to go, and I'm on the bandwagon that you're gonna figure this whole thing out. But up to this point, your story that you've had from when you started pro, what have you kind of developed the most out of your personality or mindset? What has kind of developed the most through this process so far?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say that develops the most so far has been, physical strength, really, and endurance. Third year at Alden's, those years kind of start stacking up, and yeah, I feel like this year my base has been pretty good on my endurance stuff, and yeah, I'm never worried about the length of a moto or if I'm gonna get tired or not. So that's one thing that kind of just comes with growing up a little bit too. Every year I'm getting bigger, I'm getting stronger. So I'm getting right into those peak years now where I'm young but still like starting to grow into that kind of man strength phase. So I feel like as a rookie and as coming out of the amateur, especially coming off 125s, I was definitely a bit small on the bike, and I felt like the bike was riding me a little bit. But now I feel like I can pretty much do what I want on the bike, and I can pretty much just hammer the thing and manhandle it if I need to. So yeah, that's really the main thing. I feel like it's grown a lot better over the years, but also racecraft's gotten a lot better too with these pros.
You mentioned being at Alden's. If I'm not mistaken, you've been on the East Coast more this year than the past 2 years. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Okay, so your dad has been your coach as well as your uncle, but your dad's been by your side almost your entire amateur career and most of your pro career so far. So being away from your dad, having some separation, has that helped you a little bit with just becoming who you're going to be, an adult like Scotty touched on, but also your riding, just maybe having some different influence?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I've been around my dad my whole life, so every once in a while being away from him ain't a bad thing, I feel like. It gives me some alone time, gives me some time to really do stuff on my own and grow up a little bit. But yeah, it is also nice to have him around because he's been there for so long, and also with the racing standpoint and training and all that stuff, he has a lot of experience in that, and he has a lot of knowledge when it comes to racing in this sport. So yeah, I rely on him a lot for some of that stuff, and yeah, it's about 50-50 right now, I'd say.
Okay. And also being there, different dirt than what you're used to, a lot different, multiple tracks, but you're used to the West Coast hard pack stuff in NorCal, SoCal. I would assume that also helps you, probably getting a little more comfortable on ruts and just kind of broadening your skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Back here, say first on the West Coast, it's, concrete. We don't get much lines. Tracks don't get too rough. Out here at Alden's, we got, a good group of guys on the supercross tracks. We get some roughness, whoops get cupped. But I would say the dirt back here, that was a struggle for me when I first got here, was the sand. Like, we pretty much riding almost sand supercross to an extent. It's got a hard base to it, but it gets pretty like powder burmy and just sand berms with a little bit of slickness. But that stuff too is one thing I've had to learn, and just another tool that I've put into my toolbox, you could say, that could help me for the future.
Perfect.
Yeah, Max, it's kind of one of those things. Hindsight's always 20/20. Your transition to becoming a pro has kind of been a topic that people have talked about a lot, and like the Supercross Futures thing didn't even exist really, like what it is now when you started up. So hindsight being 20/20, if you could go back to Houston in 21, would we still line up, or would we kind of take a different path?
It's hard to say. The going in early kind of wasn't our original plan to begin with. But with the circumstances that we were kind of handed, that was our option, and it was either have a ride or not have a ride. So when you come down to that, it was like, yeah, I'm going to take the ride and go race. So yeah, I mean, it's a hard question to really pinpoint, but yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at right now, and maybe if I didn't do those races, I wouldn't be here. So
yeah,
I'm happy where I'm at. I don't regret anything about going in earlier or how it started or how it's going really. Everyone's got to learn their own ways, and I feel like I'm really starting to figure it out and getting close to being up to those top guys and being in that position to start fighting for podiums and winning races.
Yeah, I kind of like that, like the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Max, so I want to ask you, this is probably, well, I actually want to say this question. Let's change questions. Out there at Alden's, how much testing are you doing? And do you feel like you are becoming a tester where you feel the things that need to change and you can relay those things to whether it be Austin or whoever your practice mechanic is?
That's a funny question, but to be honest, I haven't tested anything.
Oh, okay.
We did a big test in the off season, found some stuff out with the bike and got us setting pretty happy. But when it comes down to suspension, I'm pretty sure I'm running pretty close to what I ran last year. So we did some chassis stuff at the beginning of the off season, but since then I found a setting that I felt comfortable with. And yeah, we tried something for Oakland and the result wasn't as good. And I was like, I just need to go back to what I have because I've had so many laps on the stuff I've got right now that I basically know everything the bike's going to do. So that brings that extra little bit of confidence. And yeah, it seems like when I've tried to test or change something, it hasn't gone as good. So I've kind of just stuck to what I know and just trying to progress that way.
You kind of answered my follow-up question, which was why not test more and see if you can be more comfortable, but you're comfortable. And so that makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready for outdoors?
Yeah. Outdoors is kind of my sweet spot right now. I've had 2 full solid seasons of outdoors so far under my belt. And yeah, coming into this year, I feel like I have a really good shot to, be a contender. Hard to say for a guy that hasn't been on a podium yet, but I think if you were to ask RJ how me and him rode yesterday, we would both be up front by a long shot. It was the riding that we're doing outdoors right now. I feel comfortable. A couple things with the bikes we need to work on, but besides that, my conditioning, my speed, and my ability on outdoors right now, I feel like is pretty strong to be a fighter up front and go for podiums and wins.
Since we're talking about outdoors, I want to ask you, I may have asked you this before. There's certain riders that we, as media fans, hype up, right? This guy's the favorite, so-and-so, right? Hunter's the favorite, et cetera, et cetera. Are you a kid that you kind of get a chip on your shoulder and that motivates you? Like Justin Cooper, man, he just thrives off that. And I wonder if that even bothers you when you're not necessarily in that discussion and somebody else is.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's been almost, after my rookie year, it's been kind of my whole thing. I've kind of, been so undercover and so low key, and no one seems to, from my side, seems to talk about me a lot. And, I feel like I got a pretty big chip on my shoulder, and I'm just waiting for the times that, I'm out front to really show the kind of person that I am. Because, right now to really show a lot of your character and who you are when you're not up front doesn't really, it doesn't do a lot for me right now. I just feel like, when the time's right, I'm going to show people really, what kind of person I am and what kind of, the ability that I have. And I feel like the time is close. I feel like I'm right there, and outdoors I'm confident and I know I can do good. And yeah, I'm just waiting for that breakthrough. Yeah.
And I will tell you, your agent, Lucas Myrtle, he called me a few months ago and kind of basically said the same thing. Like, the breakout's coming. Just wait. He sees it. And, again, he kind of said the same thing we're talking about. You're still young. You're still in that learning stage. But when it comes, it's going to click. And he definitely has very high opinions of how you're going to be next year. So, yeah, I just want to tell you that he's definitely praising you.
Yeah, good.
Omerts.
Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel like the breakthrough is close, and I've been holding a lot of things for a lot of years, so I got a lot of stuff to say. And yeah, when I'm up around the podium, I'm sure I'm gonna let that all out.
All right, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking you were that guy since watching at 125.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, no, dude, I have.
Teasing.
Like,
Just teasing.
I've always ever since I saw you, and I grew up watching your dad too, so I was like, this is time, it's coming. Yeah. One kind of random thing I had about this past weekend, obviously on the media side of things, we're hyping up the showdown a lot, and it was obviously a big focal point for the broadcast and everything. On the team level, do you guys feel any extra? Is there any extra added pressure? Is there different talks in the meetings? Do they kind of, is it business as usual, or do they kind of hype up the showdown thing as well inside the teams?
For me, on really nothing actually. It's just the same old as it is every weekend. Just going there to do my job and race, and I had a little bit of added pressure just on myself to do good, and had some people talking to my corner that really trying to get me to believe in myself. Not that I haven't been able to do that. Just kind of a reminder. I just got reminded that I have the ability and I can do it. So I just kept telling myself that, and just set my mind set right for this past weekend. And yeah, it came out and executed pretty good. I qualified my best qualifying I've ever had at third in the second qualifying, third in the heat race, which was a mini main, and then also to get fourth in East-West Showdown, even if it was a mutter, it's a mutter. It was good. That was career best for me. And, I was super close to the podium, but, so much stuff happens in the mud race. You don't really know what's going on. You're just trying to stay on the bike. So, 2 career bests for me on one weekend. And, that was basically it,
Got a couple more for you. I want to go back to Baker's Factory for just a minute. With all the different riders out there and the levels of talent, there's a ton of fantastic riders there, obviously. Who have you learned the most from? I don't know how much time you get to spend on the track with, say, Malcolm when he was healthy, or Cooper, or whatever, but yeah, who are you taking the most away from?
It's hard to say, every day someone, when we're training in the off season, everyone's so close on those tracks. We do so many laps that, every day someone's on a good day, and that's when you're really watching that person. I've seen Coop have some amazing days. I've seen Mookie have some amazing days where he's the fastest guy. I've seen Christian. I've seen Aaron. Where they're all on a good day. When you see someone on a good day, that's the kind of guy you're kind of picking stuff from. So it's kind of a little bit of everyone. There's not really someone where I feel like I'm always watching that guy and what he's doing, but of course, if there were to be one, it'd probably be Coop, considering the position that he's in the championship, and just kind of like how he, takes on the days, and how he's training, and just kind of his demeanor, and right here at the end, and kind of when he's peaking is also part of his strategy. And it's like, that's kind of the stuff that you kind of pick apart, not so much riding, but kind of more program and structure that they're doing to be where they're at.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I asked Levi this question. With the lightning delay, you're on the line, and something happens that really has never happened in the history of sport. They shuffle you guys off the track for an hour and a half or whatever it is. How was that break? How did that affect you? Did it bother you at all? Was it, a reset? Was it negative?
Yeah, at first, I was like, man, we could have just got this thing out there and could have had a dry race. But with the lightning or whatever, we had to go back in. And honestly, I just found myself a seat in the Dirtworks mule. Levi actually came in and sat in there with me for a little bit, and we're, you're just kind of bullshitting and waiting for what's going to happen next. You're listening to, the Dirtworks guys trying to be like, we're riding at 10. And then another lightning strike hits. Okay, 10:30 for sure. And then, it was kind of weird. It was a long break. I was definitely hungry. I was starving. So a lot of this is just like, man, I just want to eat some food. But mentally, I stayed ready the whole time. So whenever they said we were going down to the gate, I was going to be ready. So I just kind of stayed focused and just kept quiet and just sat there waiting. And when it was time to go, I was stoked. I was ready to get out there and race in the mud. And the position that I'm kind of in, it's I'm not fighting for a title or anything, so I'm just going out there to have fun in the mud. And back to my amateur days, we used to go out and ride mud a lot, and just for fun, just to get better at riding mud. So I kind of just took it as that. I was like, hey, I'm going out here, I'm just gonna try and get good start, maybe a whole shot and just go have fun, splash in the mud.
Not good mindset.
Yeah, Max, Levi mentioned the same thing about having to eat. Like
I would have had to leave. You know me.
Yeah,
I'm out. I gotta.
Yeah.
I'm headed to freaking
You'd have been
Outback
crying and all kinds of things.
Can't perform without food, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he said Levi said he found a Nutrigram bar at a vending machine or something like that. But so my question is though is how much does something like that, like is y'all's, your routine for the weekend is so regimented with when you eat, when you take rest and stuff like that. Does a gap like that really just kind of throw off the whole, protein plan for the day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're trying to get as much food in our bodies, or at least me, especially with my body type. I tend to burn through a lot of calories quite fast. I don't really store a lot of fat on me. So, yeah, for me, I'm just trying to store as much food. And in between breaks, it's hard to eat food after a heat race, you should say, or just right after riding. You're just kind of, trying to relax. So, with that break, it was tough because you really just took enough food for the next 30 to 45 minutes to get through the moto and a little bit after, and then you start, putting more fuel into your body right after the race. And yeah, I was sitting down there starving, but I knew if I was hungry, I'm sure a lot of the other guys were too. So we were kind of all in the same boat.
All right, Maximus, last question. I know I'm not going to get a straight answer, but it's okay. Contract year. There's rumors all over the place, but what can you tell us about 24? Are you talking to anybody? Is anything, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm talking to, a couple people. We got a couple things in the works right now. I can't say who and where, but, yeah, I'm pretty confident that, with my results and consistency and, what I have to offer, I'm not really worried about being out of a job. Yeah,
Mertza gets you taken care of. And sometimes, if there's going to be a change, we see those changes can be good sometimes. It's just a new – what you got, Scotty? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, it made me think of, do you kind of hold back from maybe finalizing those decisions? Let's say you go have a kind of a breakout ride outdoors this season, and then, you do kind of better maybe than what the people were negotiating would say. Do you kind of hold that in your back pocket to say, hey, I did improve. Maybe got second in points. Does that kind of affect your negotiation power?
I can't wait that long.
It's just not how it works. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, of course. If you do good, you're going to get, bigger offers. But say so in the position I'm in right now, I'm not really worried about the money. I just need to be in a spot to where I can get the results, because like you guys were talking earlier, is when you win, the money comes fast. So that's kind of my goal. I'm just looking for a position where I can, win a lot of races and make money that way. So that's where I'm kind of focusing on.
Awesome. Tonight, Maximus Vohland, brought to you by X Brand Goggles. Max, we'll let you go. You can go online and chat it up, play some video games with Doc, do some Call of Duty or whatever it is you guys play these days. But thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll see. I'll see you this week. No, I won't. I won't see you this weekend. So, but
2 weeks.
Yep. Good talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, good talking. All right. Thank you, guys.
See you, bud. Maximus Vohland. Yeah. Yeah. If he'll be riding somewhere next year.
Yeah. I live in my little bubble over here.
Yeah. You can't really wait till outdoors because all the deals are going to be done by then. Their deals are getting done. So,
like I said,
you knew. We do have Mark Fineis coming up in just a few minutes. Let's talk about qualifying. Eli Tomac, that crash, it was wild. I heard about it. I was at Johnsonville, and I had a text, and I had some Twitter mentions, and I think his knee's bad. He might be out for tonight. And I was like, oh, boy, this is going to shake things up. But I had I couldn't really check anything. I had texts coming in, but I couldn't check social media to see what really happened because there was no signal at the track. So, yeah, I didn't know until I got home 5 minutes before the race if he was even okay.
Yeah, I feel like if you didn't watch the race and you just had followed, whatever, your Twitter, Instagram, just the news highlights from the day, you'd have been like, oh, Eli's down, Cooper Webb's going to make a jump on this, and, all this is going to happen. And then you see the results later and you're like, Eli got second. You'd be like, what? I thought he got hurt. Like, what happened?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then also like AP got had to sit out, and Adam Cianciarulo had to crash. Which
AC.
Man, well,
Dude,
we had nowhere to go.
I know.
He hit another guy.
And
that sucks. So
man, what a crazy evening. But the Eli one was just wild. And the text I got was is it true that his grip came off? And my instant thought was, oh God, I hope Jelly didn't forget like to tighten the throttle or something. Because, Jelly's one of our buddies, and I don't want something, Eli's not very forgiving. So I was super worried that there was a mechanical mistake based off that comment that I got in a text. And thankfully it wasn't. Obviously the throttle did not come off. The grip didn't come off.
Yeah, it was just kind of a freak deal.
Yeah, very, very weird. I'm glad he's okay, but again, I want the championship. Like, I want what Weege wants, or Lewis Phillips wants. I want this final to be 2 or 3 points between everybody. Yeah. So if Eli has to sit out a race to make that happen, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, that would have really change it. But
he would be in third. Right? Yeah, lose 26 points or whatever it is. But
it's an interesting point though, because if you think about, it wasn't very long ago where we were, it was like this is going to come down to 3 or 4 points at the end of the ring between 3 guys.
Yeah.
And then it's crazy how it's just kind of changed in the last couple of weeks to where it's almost if you look back on other seasons, it's kind of that's 11 points is pretty. It's still closer than a lot of the seasons we've had, but it's still 11 points is not where you would have maybe said this was going to be 3 or 4 rounds ago.
No,
for sure.
I kind of feel. Do you two feel like it's pretty much over for them unless something really weird happens? You feel like what's the percent pie? We'll steal the pulp thing that Eli wins the championship.
I would say it's got to be at like an 86.
So high 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'd say definitely in the 80s.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, I know. I would say this is just a random hypothetical. I've been living in a utopia tonight.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. So I think that if Sexton was the 11 points behind, I would maybe lower that percentage because I think he's capable of winning.
Oh yeah, more than Cooper is.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
So I think that I might change it a little bit, but I would say right now but Eli's shown that he can have a rando ride. It can happen. So I think at this point in the season, he's pretty locked and loaded, and I think that he's maybe sacrificed a couple of those other rides to make sure that at this point in time that he's not going to have a ride like that.
Yeah.
He's obviously matured and been in championship battles. I don't see him making a mistake or having that freak ride, but it can happen.
So 2 things based off what you just said. One, I did say to Eli, that was one of my main questions to him in the press conference was like that Saturday could have went really bad for him between the crash and qualifying where he almost got hurt, or I had heard he was hurt, and then the weather comes in, and who knows what's going to happen, especially if his knee was messed up. It could have just been a terrible night. So I did ask him, like, does that make this finish even more special because of how bad it kind of should have went? And he said, yeah, it did play a little bit into his thought process of that, but we're all kind of counting Cooper Webb out here.
We're not,
but we are in a way. We're saying, oh yeah, the likelihood of him winning any of the next 3 is kind of low, but he's mentally he's probably Eli's pretty strong, but mentally we consider Cooper one of the strongest guys out there. He could come out and win 2 or 3 races like easily. He's capable, but we really aren't. None of us are really giving Cooper much of a chance of that, and I don't know why.
He has been training in altitude the last 2 weeks.
Cooper?
I heard he's mountain bike riding.
Oh, Cooper's at
Vail,
Baker's,
Colorado.
No, that's not Cooper. Cooper's at Baker's factory
last week.
Well, he might have been some, but he's been at Baker's.
Yeah, I know he trains at Baker's, but it's.
I was going to say because Jason Anderson's been at altitude all year.
Flying out.
He's not saying all year. He's just saying like the last week or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that he was this week that he was out there. Okay, I thought you were saying all year. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, I just think I'm going to go, not that it matters. I'm going to go 70% Eli.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give I'm not giving any of it to Chase right now. I got to go 0 for Chase, even if he wins out. It's just
I don't think this weekend Barsha kind of took care of that.
Yeah, I don't see Cooper and Eli having just terrible nights.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go 70-30.
Okay. I just think Eli is just too strong with an 11-point lead like that. I just think that's as far as the way I think Cooper's played this season very well.
Mm-hmm.
He's
had a couple moments.
He's had a couple things, but I think that at this point, that's the one thing that he couldn't do with 3 rounds to go is give him more than 10 points.
I guess if you look at all of them have had multiple races. Like, I mean, Chase Sexton should be the champion.
Yeah.
Like, he should
on
be.
paper, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many, I don't remember the number of points he's given away by crashing while leading. It was very high.
Something?
Huh?
It was 30-something.
I think it was 35.
Yeah, he would be running away with it, you know?
Yeah, so
I bet you wishes he had those points back.
Yeah,
from,
the 7 for jumping on the Red Cross. And
I mean, Tony Romo should have on paper won 6 Super Bowls, but that obviously did not happen at all. So
Tony who?
Yeah, okay.
Who?
Go.
What?
Okay.
49er over
before
here.
we get Mark Fineis on, Supercross
49
Futures,
dudes in his
Supercross Futures wrapped up. Juju won again. But yeah, we were a little surprised I was a little surprised at my little homie Ryder D not being as he didn't show what I thought he would show. I'm a little disappointed. I haven't reached out. I did talk to him, I think at Glendale. I think he's coming off an injury. He's on the full race bike. He's still trying to, it's a little different than when he's been riding. So there are some reasons there, but I expected Ryder D to be better.
Yeah, see, you mentioned the coming off an injury and stuff like that. That's expected when, it's expected to not be a little lackluster if you're in a series. He's not in a position to where it's something that he necessarily had to do. So
no.
I'm kind of just, the question that I wrote down is kind of, maybe I kind of question a little bit of the move to put him in there. If you don't think that he's going to go out there and just blow those guys out,
that's the key, yeah.
Because like last year he did that, and at this point, so now he's in his second year of futures. The guy that will race him when his time is Deegan is second in points in the coast.
Beat him last year when they raced.
Yeah, and and just these guys that he was supposed to be ahead of the program, man. I just kind of wonder where the whole thing's at, and like kind of a little bit of what's going on and why are we this, if he's not up to it yet, let's just wait and get him there. Why are we putting bad press out on futures?
That was talked about a little bit, and like Ryder is a kid I have high expectations for. He's one of my favorite amateur kids. I love his family. I mean, I consider him a little buddy, man. I love Ryder D, but yeah, it looks kind of bad when you come out and you get beat by kids that you're not supposed to be beat by twice. We all kind of thought, well, people were saying, hey, why not put Ryder D in as a fill-in spot?
Yeah.
But he, Ryan Villapoto didn't feel Ryder D was ready yet.
Yeah.
That says a lot, and that bothers me. And, look, he's young, right? But Hayden Deegan technically was behind him in the amateurs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's being successful. So what is it? I mean, I don't know how much you really watch it, Steve, and follow that.
Yeah,
but there's something missing right now. I don't know if it's strength. I don't know what it is.
His health, I would think.
Yeah, I just and I've always been, when I was growing up, PC has always been dominant, and I've always enjoyed Mitch, and I think that he's been a gem to this sport and what is created. But it's just at this point in time where PC's at, it's just been the injury bug has hit him, and at this point in time, I just think that that's not good for the look of PC to see him just lose touch to those guys.
I do not disagree.
It's just and it's not a negative thing to him. It's just I just kind of question about like where we're at with it.
I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's just sad kind of because you
just disappointed like oh, he's terrible, but like,
you expected it. Yeah, exactly.
I have high expectations for Ryder. Hey, Andy Gregg and the Guts Racing crew have been providing the best seats and foam in the industry for years. For 2023, they have added Kawasaki to their complete seat lineup, as well as the color teal to the gripper material options available. Also new for 2023 are options for your e-bikes. They have complete seats for the Talaria and the Super 73 and covers for the Segway and Sur-Ron. and they have options for the Honda, KTM, and Husqvarna electric bikes. Visit gutsracing.com to check out the seat covers options available. Order your seat with 36 business day hour turnaround. Tonight, Guts Racing brings us from the GasGas Elite team, Mark Fineis. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, man, you sound good. Glad to talk to you. I had a chance to meet you briefly in Glendale. I definitely kept my eyes on you in Glendale, and this weekend at East Rutherford, couple fifths. Looking good, man. Yeah, you look good, dude. Really, really impressed.
Thank you. Just trying to make steady progress. You know, these boys have been on Supercross a lot longer than I have. I got 2 months to prepare for the Supercross Futures. Kind of crashed out of I believe Arlington, but we're definitely making progress. I got back to club and we're already back training again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. You had a DNS at Arlington, so I didn't know what happened, and you did not enter or line up for A2, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So yeah, very, very little experience doing that, but man, a very successful amateur career from when I was looking at, especially in the last couple of years, multiple championships. I think at Ponca, I think you did, obviously race Loretta's. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know a lot about you, but clearly I should have.
Yeah, I'm a big moto guy, and that's basically just amateur stuff. So I've had a lot of practice on motocross, on like Supercross, still learning that.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit about you. Growing up, you weren't even originally considering, I think, Indiana, and you were thinking about four wheels, man. You did some karting, kind of had a goal of maybe racing NASCAR, it sounds like, but you were a four-wheel guy for a while.
Yes, I did. I was doing go-karts for 5 years, and I was pretty dang good at it. I showed up and I won at every race, and I kind of like the reason I started riding dirt bikes is because I got tired of just riding by myself.
I understand. Okay. All right. You were
it was just
dominating.
win after win, championship after championship. And I'm like, all right, something else. And my dad dabbled in some dirt bikes when he was young. So he brought it up and brought me to my first race. And my first race was a qualifier, and I was on a 50. And I liked going fast, so I just held it wide open and didn't really think about anything else. But I crashed once, I looped out, and I was going so slow because I didn't want to do that again.
Okay.
Yeah, those karts are so interesting. They're basically like 125 two-strokes, aren't they? Like, or 250 two-strokes, kind of.
Yeah, different classes.
Like,
yeah,
like I know there's a lot of different kinds of go-karts and stuff. Like there's two-strokes, and then like there's regular kinds. I don't really know.
Sunburn alcohol. Yeah,
big
methanol.
into like the four-wheeled industry anymore.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm going to tell you, it makes me mad when somebody's super good at multiple things because I'm not really good at anything, so that makes me a little bit mad that you're that good at go-karts, and obviously you're very good at dirt bikes. That's a little frustrating. Like, can I have some of your talent? But yeah, so why not, though? I want to stick with the karting for a second. If you were dominating that much, was there not like another level to move up to, whether it be, cars? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's asphalt. Like there's classes with smaller cars, not full size cars, but never a goal just to move up to a different four-wheel class.
I honestly never even thought about it. I just was doing it like I was so little. I started at 4 and ended at 9. So like I was just doing it because I liked to do it. I had no future plans with it. I wasn't looking that far ahead when I was that young. It's like, but I know you can do like NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, all that types of stuff, but I had no intentions of taking it that far. I was just going fast.
You're just give me something with the throttle. That's all you were concerned about, right?
Just want to go fast.
Yeah, I want to go fast. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie.
So we kind of talked about the futures program and how getting used to Supercross, and I think it's a great implementation to have that for you guys through this process. What do you think you've learned about most about what you're going to need to be successful in the Supercross sport, and kind of just take us through that process and maybe some of the things that you didn't expect, stuff like that.
The process. Well, it hasn't been that long, but it feels like forever. Well, the travel, like whether you fly or drive, that definitely takes a lot out of you. Having to get your credentials and stuff, and sitting and waiting because we show up like a day or two early because we don't want to like miss anything. And being in a stadium definitely kind of wigs you out the first time. It definitely did me. It was like, but I didn't even get to race in front of the fans and stuff. And the first time I did that, it kind of wigged me out a little bit. Was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Had a bit of stomach issues because I was so nervous. But doing the futures is definitely a big help, because if I were to just like train Supercross out like here at club and at a facility without the stadium and then just go show up, it definitely would like take a lot of my speed because being so nervous. So the futures program is definitely a big help in the future of my career in Supercross.
When you've left some of these Supercross races and gone back and done more of your traditional moto stuff, do you feel your speed increase because of what you went through in the Supercross?
Yes, a lot actually, because I've been more of a just hold it wide open and squeeze the bike, and if I crash, I crash, but if I don't, it's gonna be good.
Tell he's young.
So and like Supercross has really helped me be more methodical with my riding and not be such a bulldog and just hold it wide open. It's like I've been really doing well with feet on pegs, good bike control, balance, positioning on the bike, and I transitioned that over to motocross, and it's just brought me to another level.
Awesome. Nice. Cool. What's your favorite obstacle on a Supercross track?
Well, I would say the whoops, but depending on how big they are, they're not my favorite. If they're the 15-foot whoops, then they're my favorite. If they're like 12 or 13, then I have a hard time timing my front tire on them. So because I tend to skip a few.
Yeah.
The 15 lets you just hold it wide open. I'm catching a theme here. We like to hold it wide open. I like it.
Not first, you're last.
Yes, going fast.
So going back to the futures at this last event, the kids that beat you were all Juju's won a couple of those, and then other relatively big name kids, right? Daxton Bennick, Ryder D, and Casey Cochran, all kids who have deals and basically factory support. Has to make you feel pretty good. Do you have? You're currently with GasGas Elite. Daniel Blair's got you locked in a little bit, but do you have any major support coming for outdoors and next year? What is your plans? Do you know?
Well, I don't really. I want to go pro after Loretta's.
Okay.
But with the team and everything, I guess it's just up to them whether I'm jocking with it and feeling good, up to speed. If I'm able to like produce results, I guess it's up to them and Daniel Blair to decide whether or not I go pro. I want to dabble in some pro nationals this season, but I don't know. Okay. I do still have to do the combines at like Red Bud and Ironman.
You've done one of those, haven't you? Have you done a combine already?
I think I've done 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've done 3. I've done the 2 at Ironman and 1 at Red Bud.
I'll text DB in a minute. I'll tell him you're ready. I got you. I got some dirt on DB.
Mark, did the results that you have had in the futures, did that exceed the expectations that you kind of set for yourself, or where he mentioned some of the guys that?
No, not really. I always set a pretty high bar for myself. Just I don't know. I've always had that. It's like, that might be a bad thing.
No,
I do think I am able to get on the podium. It's like I know win is pretty far out there right now, but I think a podium is definitely in reach, especially with this weekend. I look back at the lap times, and even though I missed the triple, quad, double, single on the side, a few of the laps, I was still running as faster lap times than Cochran and DeFrancesco. But I just 6 minutes, not enough time.
Yeah.
I'm out on a quad.
I think it's good though that you're just listening to you talk. You're picking things up. You're like, okay, I made a few mistakes. I missed these sections. My lap times are good. Like you're absorbing what you need to be absorbing, which that's good. I think it's going to come. How has riding at club helped you? There's a lot of fast guys out there. The Phoenix Honda guys are a lot. Enzo obviously is killing it. Jeremy Martin, when he's healthy, there's so much talent out there, so many people to absorb some of that information from. It's got to be benefiting you.
Yeah, they're really open. They help me all the time. Enzo kind of mentors me a little bit. Jeremy Martin, on and off the track, we're pretty good friends, I believe. And Brandon, the owner, he's helped me a lot with my dieting, because I'll admit, before I came here this year, my diet wasn't the best, but I didn't know what was good and what was bad. I just cut out the sugar, but there's also like the bad food. And I really stepped up and really started focusing on my diet and what I eat. It's like I eat a lot of fruits, frozen fruits. I started making my own breakfast in the morning with eggs and stuff, a whole bunch of stuff. When I started tracking what I eat, and I eat like on average 5,500 calories a day.
Wow.
And that's what you got to do, because we burn through that in a day. It's like, but if you're not doing what we're doing, then you'll just get kind of chunky.
You burn a lot of calories when you're holding it wide open.
Yes.
So, your goal right now is Loretta's and then maybe some outdoors. Have you even had that conversation at all? Do you know what the likelihood is?
It's hard to say.
Okay.
Like I could just make a big improvement, like break through the ceiling of the speed and stuff and just be ready. But right now we can't really say. It's like, I don't really even know how I stack up against the likes of like Lawrence or McAdoo or all those other guys. I don't know how I would handle those guys.
Sure.
How long have you been doing the A-class thing? Is it pretty new, or if you still kind of been doing
A-class
that for
just this year? I was due last year.
So you've done? Did you do? We've already had the couple of the spring nationals.
Yeah, he won at Freestone, right? You got the 250 with the Open Pro Sport champ.
I got both the Pro Sport Championships, and then right after that, I didn't do the other one, Spring a Ding, and I came back here and started doing Supercross.
See, I was there at Freestone Wednesday, I think, or maybe Thursday before I flew, whatever race that was that weekend, maybe Glendale, I think. And I was there, and I remember that, but I didn't know who you were. I just said at the beginning of this, like, I should have known who you were, and I didn't even come talk to you, and like you were winning, man. It's bad on me, bro. But yeah, I remember watching you and like, who is this kid?
I kind of like it like that.
Yeah.
Knowing who I am when I come out of nowhere and just sweep everything. I like it like that.
All right. Dude, I like this kid's attitude, man.
He's on it, gas. He likes to hold it wide open. He's set, dude. He's on it.
I like the gas. I'm Team Husky right now, so we're sort of like teammates almost.
KTN, GasGas, Husky, it's all under the same thing. You can support whoever you want as long as it's under that tent.
But Mark, I asked Daniel for a vet deal, and he said no. He said, "We got Mike Brown. That's all we need." So,
yeah, you're not there,
bro. You didn't see me race this weekend?
Okay, I've seen Mike Brown.
I look like Mike Brown. It's a Husky number 3.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
man, Mike Brown rips,
dude. Does he not? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know. How old is he? Like 60? I don't know. He still rips though.
I don't think he's that old, but he's I don't. He's a bad dude, bro.
I bet you you'd be. He would be like, if you rode with him, he would be right there. Like I've seen him. Mike Brown
with Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought you were talking to me. I was like,
no, he'd be all over you, because I saw him. He raced a local pro race that we had. He was running like 3rd against like guys that are about that are on factory rides.
No doubt he can qualify for a national. No doubt.
Oh, he could top. He could get points.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He could top 20 all day.
Because at the Pro Challenge here in Tyler, Texas.
That's what I'm talking about.
When Matt LeBlanc was here.
Dude,
he destroyed Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark, dude. Yeah, it's cool to get to know you a little bit. I apologize, I didn't know more about you, but I think you have a bright future, man. And I like your personality a lot. That goes a long way too with becoming a pro and communicating with the media and the fans and the teams. I think you seem like a very intelligent, well put together kid, and I look for big things out of you, man.
I appreciate that. I try my best. I know personality is a long goes a long way, and I try my best. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was eating strawberries, and the seeds are stuck in my throat.
Well, don't choke on us, but yeah, Daniel's good people. He's going to have your back. So, yeah, listen to him. He's really intelligent. He's one of those guys that really pisses me off because he's so good at everything he does. I don't know if you realize, besides being a TV commentator, besides having a really good podcast, besides winning an arena cross championship, the dude can sing his ass off, too. He is a band.
He can sing?
Dude, so his podcast is called...
I gotta talk to him about that later.
Go on iTunes and look at Main Event, okay? The same as his podcast. That's his band with his brother. He rips.
It's our intro.
Yeah, that's our intro. Actually, hey, check this out. That's too long. I would play it, but it's way too long. Yeah, check out Main Event on iTunes. Yeah, Daniel just pisses me off.
Too good.
Yeah, too good at everything he does. But he's gonna help you out. He's a good guy to have in your back corner. So, man. But yeah, great talking to you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and we'll see how you're doing once once Loretta's comes around and outdoors, and we'll get you back on.
Sounds good.
All right. Mark Fineis, brought to you by Guts Racing. Thanks, buddy.
Keep her pinned, bud.
Yep. Wide open.
All right. We'll see you, Mark.
See you, man.
Right. Mark Fineis, man. Yeah, dude, I like his.
He's had a.
He's my new favorite amateur. I can't take over. Not over Ryder D. Ryder's my kid. Ryder's my homie.
Yeah.
He's just got that confidence.
Yeah.
Just
the DNA test?
Well, I didn't mean literally my kid, doofus, but I'm a big. So we're
gotta get the people what they want, man.
The show is going south. Okay, hang on. Let me find my Motul read real quick because we do
put
not
your life
have,
together over there, man.
Yeah, we do not have a tech tip since TJ's not in. Motul, founded in 1853. Give your ride its shine back. The Motul E10 Shine and Go Spray is our go-to detailer for all of our bikes. Motul E10 Shine and Go Spray cleans and restores plastic to like-new condition while leaving a protective film that repels dirt and grime. I sprayed the Husky and the YZ with that before I raced Johnsonville this weekend. Piece of cake to clean up. It smells like citrus, which is almost as cool as your garage smell like race gas. You can find this in the entire Motul Power Sports product lineup at shopmotul.com and enter the code VITAL20 to receive 20, I always say 25, 20% off your order of $50 or more. Any local cycle gear store and or online at any Power Sports website, you can find Motul Shine and Go.
If it's okay, I got something a little impromptu.
Yeah,
you said not to do it. We didn't have a tech tip, but we got Steve here that has his own little track.
6 feet under
so we can do
it.
It
is a private track, so you guys can't look that crap up. Don't show up when I'm training.
Yeah. Oh, God. Closed areas. This is for dark sides training only. But
right.
So kind of a track tip in lieu of the tech tip.
Okay.
What was kind of something that unexpected that you kind of came across building a track? What was something that you learned that you had never even thought that would be a part of building a track?
Just the maintenance, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, God,
all of us coming out and riding for free and tearing up.
Well, it's not even the guys riding; it's more the weather.
Oh yeah,
Either
we've had a lot of rain.
If it's just pouring down rain, or if it gets too dry. I mean, it'll wash out just being too dry.
Mm-hmm.
That and just the different types of dirt too is amazing. You know, you got hard red clay. You know, it can get
sand,
sands. I mean, we got other dirt but that's, I think, just the maintenance of, and learning how to face the jumps good properly and having some fun with that. And
you can't just build it and leave it. It's
unfortunately no.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of material that it might cost a fortune, but you could just build the track and it never
unobtainium?
Well, no, I would love it if it never rutted, never rutted up. Yeah,
soft concrete.
It's been fun.
Like an Astro track.
We got a few things we need to get into before we wrap this thing up. Let's see here. I'm going to do the X brand form. I already did the X brand read, didn't I?
Yeah, you did it for Max.
Well, that was stupid. I'm missing a
read it again. They won't mind.
No. There's just I feel like I'm missing. 60 picks. Let's do the 60 picks real quick. Who are your picks for Nashville?
You don't need to read 6D's thing first?
I do. I'm a little thrown because I'm missing a sponsor read somewhere.
Well, let's promote them, and then I'll tell you.
Since its inception almost 12 years ago, 60 Helmets has been dedicated to the relentless pursuit of brain protection. From the original ATR-1 to its successor, the ATR-2, the goal was to develop a revolutionary design concept utilizing creative, forward-thinking technology that would change the market and improve the safety capabilities of the sports helmets. The helmet is the most important piece of protective equipment you will purchase, so visit 6dhelmets.com or go to your local dealership and ask for 6D. 6D picks for Nashville. I went Sexton, Barsha, Webb.
I'm gonna go Sexton, Barsha, Tomac.
I agree with you, especially if it's dry. Sexton for the win.
Because I don't think Tomac necessarily is gonna have the mindset that he has to go out and win the race. But I think as long as he's in front, if Coop's in fourth, he's happy in third. I think that's all that matters. And Barsha's on a tear. Don't think he has quite the Sexton speed. If Sexton gets the start, I think he can run away with it. So that's my picks.
I agree.
Yeah, we got put Steve and I down for the same thing.
Yeah, I got him wrote down. So we had a winner. We asked for people to submit their picks last week.
Yeah, what did I do? Did I get anywhere close?
None of us were even close because I don't think any of us had.
It was like Kenny.
Nobody everybody either had Cooper or the guys that weren't on. So what I did is one guy, Kevin Clark, actually picked Barsha to win. Of all the people that submitted, his picks weren't really that close either, but he did pick Barsha to win. So I gave him the prize pack. He got an FXR casual pack. So congratulations to Kevin Clark. Again, guys, I want you to enter. I want all you listeners to get involved. MotoXpod Show at gmail.com. We'll do contests regularly. I want you to get in with the Procs highs and lows. Send us those every week. What are your highs and lows from the weekend, whether it be the GPs or Supercross? Send us your 60 picks, and we will get prizes for different times. And I'll start announcing like a week out what the prize will be for the next week as I start putting those things together. Want to get you guys involved. I want to get your thoughts, your comments. It's important to me that the listeners get involved with this. We do not have phone lines where I can get you guys to call in and talk like some of the other shows, but we can get you involved with email. So please do that. Enter our ClubMX Fantasy League, MotoXpod Show. Just search it out on the league search and get involved. I've got prizes for top 3 in that coming. So, and I will not be winning even if I was eligible because I am sucking. Okay, a new segment this week, and I'm gonna start doing this I think regularly, is the FXR forum check-in. I'm going to go through the Vital MX forum. I'm going to find a topic that I find kind of interesting, and we can discuss it, and then you listeners can give us your feedback, again, at motoxpodshow@gmail.com. So this week's FXR forum check-in was posted by M. Jones 618, and he said, I was at a state race today spectating and noticed there wasn't a single class with a full gate. The highest number of racers in a class was the 250C with 30 riders. And I got to thinking the last time I was racing the state series, it was packed. The gates were packed for most classes. This was in 07 through 09-ish. What's the problem? Pricing? People out? Bikes getting too expensive? Gear, fuel, lack of track, etc. What's going on? It really does seem like a smaller community now. So then I reached out to Shan Garcia, who announces a lot of races in Texas. I reached out to Checkers, who works for Race Tech, and he's up in Iowa. And I called Kiefer, who out in Cali, and everybody across the board says, no, man, entries are up. I texted April, who runs Johnsonville MX, where Steve and I raced this weekend for the Vet Series. They had over 190, I think, entries this weekend. Previous entry was something like 210, which for this small Vet Series, that's a lot. So I think he may be wrong. I think the numbers are up. I think we're at a really good stage of our sport right now.
I think I have an answer for this.
Okay, let's do it.
So what I've seen is that a lot of the local guys that would do, like he's talking about just like a local state race, I'm assuming it's not an AMA thing. I don't know if not. I would say that the AMA stuff, like if you're serious about racing, you're at all the AMA sanctioned events, your district series, and then you're going to these national stuff. I think that stuff is seeing an all-time high. Personally, I think I think there's a lot of them that are doing that kind of stuff that are at that level. I think that when it kind of gets to guys at our skill level, it's kind of more of a trend where like the racing is, it's just like, man, I go out there and race and I put myself in more risk. I don't get as many laps. I pay more money. I'm there all day. I think that those kind of guys are doing more of just ride days. When you go to a place that's having a specific ride day, it's packed. There's people everywhere.
But the races have been packed. Look at Swan's always packed when it's open.
I can see where a little bit of like. I went and watched a couple of races of it's a non-sanctioned, just local series that he does at Swan.
Yep.
I saw a couple motos of it. The 55 plus had one guy.
Oh wow!
They were double gating a lot.
That's because they were all at Johnsonville for the vet series.
Well, that was Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of them stuck around for the vintage. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I can see where the local non-sanctioned stuff is lower turnout. It's just not. What's the these kids that are trying to get them, like Kate Johnson, for example. I never see him at that stuff, but when there's an AMA race, he's at them.
Yeah.
When it's a chance where he can maybe even get more contingency or money, he's there. A local thing doesn't do anything for those guys. So I think the local stuff is kind of maybe falling off, but as a whole, the big stuff is huge.
Maybe. I mean, talking to the people I talked to today, if I feel like the numbers are up. But Steve, he's kind of right. Like, there's our times where I'm like, I don't know that I want to drive 3 hours, take all day, spend all that fuel. I mean, it was pretty expensive to race this weekend. It was like $30 a class, plus it's $20 to get in the gate or whatever it was, and fuel and food and et cetera. If you stay the night, if you don't you have a camper, but not everybody does, it can be a very expensive weekend.
Yeah,
but I do think that our sport right now is in a pretty good place. And talking to the track owners I talked to, they seem to agree.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends, like, on availability of tracks.
Okay.
Like, say, for travel. Look at fuel costs to travel. I mean, it's, hey, what's the next round? In Louisville?
The office.
Yeah, the office. It's like 3.5 hours away. Well, some people are going to be going, dang, man, it's going to be
a good one, though.
Yeah.
Track's good.
Triple my fuel costs.
Right. Sure.
And a lot of people are professional practicers.
Mm-hmm.
They love to ride, which is cool. And then some people don't race. Some people live to race.
Right.
Yeah.
I've gotten to where I don't care about racing as much. That kind of changed this weekend, and I want to get to this weekend. We're going to get to this weekend in a second. But riding Friday at Johnsonville's open ride day all day, I put an ungodly number of laps, and we're going to get to that in a minute. And that was more fun than the racing was by far. But I think the point is, though, I kind of disagree with M. Jones, and at least in our area and the people I talk to. They might not be full gates, but there's a lot of people still going to these events.
I also kind of have another opinion on that. I think that there's too many classes at a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should just be a little more consolidated. Everybody should have the option to maybe do 2 to 3 different classes, so you can't change it down too much. But I think that it's spread out too much. I think there needs to be more of,
age
if you're 30,
there's abilities.
If you're 35 and up, it's just go out there, fill the
every
gate.
5 years, like not a 30 and 35, 30,
I
40,
think
50.
Everybody wants to, the novice guys want to win, the intermediate guys want to win.
Wants to win. That's why we race.
Exactly.
Except for TJ.
But I think that people would.
TJ races because he likes to ride around and spend money, I guess.
You could never convince these people of this, but I think that you would genuinely have more fun if, say, it was you just went 5-year increments, 30, 35, 40, 20, whatever. Anybody that's 30 races this class.
Oh, so I got to race against A class guys?
Okay, hear me out.
Man, I already don't like
it. I'm
about to mute his mic.
You would honestly have more fun.
No, I wouldn't.
Battling with guys of your skill level in that mid pack, being in a full gate. It would be more fun racing to battle in that than it would to have 5 guys in the novice class and then you're in third all by yourself. The
reality is you're right, because I really do not care about trophies and plaques anymore. Like, I didn't even go see if I got one. I just didn't care. So as long as I'm racing somebody, like my argument with TJ was always when he was telling me to move to B class, well, I wasn't even close to that fast. I don't want to ride around. If I'm in a race where the guys are gone in front, but I am racing with 4, 5, 6, 8 guys, then I'd be fine.
Yeah, you would have more fun getting 15th out of 40 guys than you would getting a 3rd out of 7.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it's
agree.
hard to just say that and people agree, but in reality they would.
Realistically, yes, we would all love to win, but if I'm going to win, I want to win because I was competitive against somebody. I don't want to win by just blowing
sandbagging.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. We need to wrap up a couple.
Jamie had one of those breakout.
Well,
rides.
we're gonna get to Johnsonville. Really we're gonna close the show out with our local race talk. So if people want to bail out, they can. Prox, rooted in racing from motocross to off-road, supporting teams like Pro Circuit Kawasaki and Pro Yamaha and SLR Honda. Prox has been dedicated to supplying quality components since 1975. From complex jobs like an engine rebuild to simple maintenance like filters, chains, and sprockets, Prox aims to bridge the gap between OE quality and affordability. Find Prox at your local dealer or online retailer. Visit prox-usa.com to search for parts for your bike and follow Prox Racing Parts on social media to stay up to date with their latest products for 2023. We're going to do the Prox highs and lows. What you laughing at? TJ?
TJ's like, holy crap, I actually agree with Scotty for once.
Oh, Prox highs and lows. Steve, let's go to you first. What are your highs and lows from this past weekend?
Just the lightning delay.
Was it high or low?
Low, dude. I mean, it's just like, well, in the rain a little bit too, because the track seems to be working in pretty good.
Yeah. It was going to be a good race.
It was going to be a really good race, and then just
that split lane came in. Like at first, I thought that split lane was terrible, but it actually was sort of working.
Yeah,
I disagrat. I thought that nobody used that outside.
Like Hunter or Jet, somebody did and made a pass. I mean, there were some guys that were using it that at first I thought nobody was going to use it.
Yeah.
So once they used it and it sort of worked, I was like, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good low. What was your high? You got a high? No highs?
Barcia won, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Got another winner. Yeah. And he's just, he's through the roof.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have a new winner. It really is.
What you, Scotty? High?
I would say, I got to go high. I got to
go
high
low
first.
if you want. Whatever. I mean, start.
I think I think the high is watching Tomac come back from having it did not look like it was going as planned, and to see him pull off that as far as championship considered, you look back at that season and say that was one of those defining rides right there. So that would probably be my high. Low is either going to be AC and AP not making it in, or I was even going to lean towards to Rider D, unfortunately.
I don't like that. I don't like that one.
I don't like it either. Yeah. I don't want to have to say it.
Well, I'm going to go Max Anstey as my high.
Yeah.
Getting his win.
Yeah, that's a good one.
My lows I have wrote down are same as yours. Lightning, rain delay, AC crash. All those things are pretty much the same for this weekend. Kind of a bummer. Again, I want to hear from you guys. MotoXpodShow@gmail.com. I want to see my email lit the F up. Send me some stuff. I want to get you guys some prizes. We'll get more sponsors involved with doing that. Let us know you're listening, man. It's a big deal to me. It's really important to get some listener feedback and read those on the air. So, I want to close this thing out with our local race talks. And Steve and I raced this weekend. I haven't raced really in a long time. Steve, you haven't raced much recently, but I've been riding a lot. So our local track, Johnsonville MX, one of our local tracks, my favorite place to ride, April and Cole Johnson, beautiful people. Just that open ride day, Friday. I went up all day Friday. Race Saturday, I signed up for the same class I always sign up for, plus 45C. Because, dude, if you listen to the show in the past, you know my argument on this C class. If you're relatively new to the class or the show, I'll explain it very quickly. In Texas, nobody really moves up when they should. So, reality, I should be a B rider with the experience I have. But when I ride the B class, I'm basically riding around in the back by myself. It's not any fun. You're not racing anybody. Just let me finish.
Okay.
You're not racing anybody. So I never really want to move up and ride with those guys. I stay in the C class because I'm 1st through 5th, 7th, something like that. That's my speed. That's been my speed. So that's what I signed up for. Didn't really realize how much I've improved in the last year. Just didn't notice. So I went and rode Friday all day, and I was doing things like I jumped the triple at Johnsonville that I've been terrified of. It is much smaller than it used to be, but still, that was very confidence building. What really got me was how many laps I put in. So I had my heart rate monitor on. It doesn't give GPS, but it gives time, right? So first practice, I did 32 minutes. And this is not like, I'm going to ride a lap and I'm going to cruise. I mean, I was riding. I was putting everything I had in, came off. Second time I went out, I rode for 44 minutes.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
It was like 25 laps or something. Came in, filled up, was not tired. I remember every lap coming around going, like thinking in my head, what the fuck is going on? I'm not even tired. I have no arm pump. I'm just going to keep going. And most of the guys out there that day were quite a bit slower than me, but I would use them as gauges. I'm going to catch that guy and make a trying to make a cool pass.
If you were out there for 44 minutes, you probably rode with the guy.
Dude.
He got back, went and got some Gatorade, and got back on the track, and you were still riding.
I don't know how many people. It was just I was having so much fun. I was doing things that I'd never done, sections just the way I was doing them. The bike handled perfect, the Husky 350. I came back in, ate a sandwich, topped off my fuel, went back out, forgot my heart rate monitor to turn it on, so I counted. I did 22 laps.
Yeah.
Then I came in. So that was there about almost, I don't know, a minute 50. I don't remember what the lap times are. Came back in, ate another sandwich, hung out for a few minutes, rode the 2-stroke a couple laps, came back in. And then I went out for 28 minutes and I started to feel some blisters on my hands. It's like,
got blisters on my fingers.
So I better stop because I have to race tomorrow. So I don't know how many laps I did. It was a lot. And I felt awesome. I then woke up Saturday morning with some soreness.
Yeah.
Wasn't super comfortable. Had to stretch out and signed up for the C class with Steve. I can't. Well, Steve doesn't ride as much. So go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't think you mentioned it. You're not giving yourself enough credit for how much you've improved.
No,
I had been, because I rode with you. I rode with you at Steve's house.
Yeah.
I have not been riding at all. I'm completely out of shape. I couldn't put together 5 good laps. And you were like, I had nothing for you. And usually, if we go back, if we take where I was when I was riding a lot to where you are now, I should be beating you. I'm not trying to be like braggadocious
I think
or anything.
you have more talent than I do, or more skill.
I would say I would.
And you're younger.
Yeah, I would be disappointed if we were both riding a lot and you just straight up beat me. I'm just
fair.
flat out. But I would have been there if I had been there at Saturday at Johnsonville. I would have been like, dude, you do not need to ride that C class. You are riding way faster than you're giving yourself credit for.
I didn't realize I was going to be that much better, so I took the gate drop. Got kind of pinched off. I got a decent start, but I got pinched off a little bit, and basically I just backed out and let everybody go because I didn't want to crash. I think I was around 8th starting. By not even the end of the first lap, I was leading.
Yeah.
And the pass I made on the leader, who was the guy leading the points, as soon as I made the pass, I was like, yeah, I'm moving up.
Yeah.
So I finished the moto, and I actually stalled the bike at one point. And Chase, our buddy Chase, who was shooting photos, he's like, "Did you do that on purpose to let him catch up?" I was like, "No, I just legit stalled." But I knew. So as soon as I took the checkers, I rode to the pit. I walked down to the scoring tower, and I told April, I said, "Move me to the B class. Just don't even score that. That was ridiculous. It wasn't fair. Nobody complained from what I understood, but yeah, I was blown up. So I moved to the B class, and I think I went 5, 6. I was pretty wore out by then, and I did 5 total motos because of the extra moto.
And all the riding.
And I rode the 2-stroke class, which I was really crappy in that. I think I got last both. There was only 5 of us, I believe. I think I went 5-5.
Yeah, and there can be pros in there too.
It was all mixed up. But,
yeah.
But I was thrilled with how I rode. I think I was even telling Steve, I went to your house the week before.
Yeah.
Because I put the air forks back on because I had a fork seal leak on my forks, and I went and rode to his house to test them. And even that night, I couldn't even contain my words. I didn't know. I was like, I've never rode like that. I blitzed the whoops at his house that are kind of rollers that we normally double, because I accidentally entered them so damn fast that I couldn't double them. I was just way too fast, so I just stayed on it. I don't know. I was calling Kiefer going, I don't know what the hell's going on. It's like a magical weekend.
I had a period in time when I first started riding back again, and got a year where I was kind of getting my legs back underneath me. And then that following year we did that Moto Master Series. I think I counted. There was 27 weeks where we rode every weekend.
Yeah.
Dude, at the end of that 27 weeks, dude, I could go out and put solid 15 laps with, running my pace. I was as fast as I'd ever been. It's when you can consistently go 2 or 3 times a week and ride, it's amazing how much you improve.
Oh, yeah.
I told somebody, maybe Adam Montoya from...
That's who I was trying to think of earlier, Adam.
From Berm Lords. I told him Friday, I was like, I think this is what Eli Tomac feels like.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want. No matter where I put the bike, I could pass anybody anywhere I wanted. It was just unreal. It was such a cool feeling. And I was about to say something else, and I lost my train of thought. But you race, Steve. How did it go for you? How'd you feel?
Completely out of shape. I spend too much time on my dozer and tractor than I do my mountain bike and in the gym by far. And I like to eat. I Need to call
eat strawberries like Mark did.
Need to eat
more strawberries.
For sure.
Yeah.
But you had a good time. It was a good weekend.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a blast. And, that place is.
Oh, I know what I was going to say, but go ahead.
If you can imagine a motocross track and the middle of a golf course is basically.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
nice.
It is a awesome place.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is Racing Saturday, Shan Garcia, who owns Shock Socks and Berm Lords, he announces a lot of races around Texas, has for 20, 30 years.
Forever.
Yeah, and that's what he came up to me and said, dude, I've been watching you ride for 20-something years. He said, I've never seen you that fast. I've never he said, if you had ever gone that fast before, you would crash. And he said he's always told me, or he's told me for the last couple of years as I've been training, especially, he said, well, why, man? We're vets. We're never going to get any better. This is as good as we're ever going to be. And he's like, yeah, you are better than you've ever been. So that was big praise to me, just him saying that, because he had previously said, kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I feel the difference. I can't wait to race the office in a couple weeks.
I can't wait for you to go back to Cali to the Vet Nationals.
That will not translate at Glen Helen. I think it was Kiefer or maybe Gage. Michael Gage was like, yeah, maybe you got something from that. And I was like, no, it just doesn't translate. If I could go to Glen Helen and spend 2 weeks, let's say, and ride 3 times a week for those 2 weeks, get 6 or 7 good rides out there, maybe.
You need to do the Millville ride day.
Legit, Steve's corner speed was superior to mine. I think after this weekend, a lot closer, because one of the things I focused on Friday was getting off the rear brake going into the corner and forcing myself to get on the gas and stay on the gas all the way through the corner. Because normally my mind, I get on the gas, I'm like, oh shit, it's not going to work. I'm going to overshoot. And I let off and then the bike stands up. But I was very much focusing on that this weekend. And I had a lot of corner speed at times. So it's coming.
You got a breakthrough ride, dude.
Yeah, but Glen Helen's so different. It's just so different.
Yeah.
I will say I had a close call though, because I was so confident. And the breakthrough ride, there's a straightaway that got really, really choppy, and then there's a right-hander. Most people are going inside.
Oh, the downhill after that tabletop?
No.
Because that thing gets gnarly.
No, before that.
Okay.
Similar. It's a smaller tabletop going towards that before you jump down the downhill double.
Yeah.
So I was going all the way left and quote unquote railing the right-hander after that. But I was going into that corner so fast. That's where I was passing people like crazy. One lap, I was so confident. Then when I went to hit my back brake, I missed because I was so far back on the bike and balls in my feet. I reached for the brake again, missed. I missed 3 times. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I am going to absolutely launch off this berm into the woods. And I literally had to just pull all the way forward and slam the back brake. And then I stalled the bike and thankfully it kicked back in and took off. But that was my one close call. But yeah, just overall, I'm sure nobody listening gives a crap about any of this, but I was just so excited. It's the most fun I've had riding dirt bikes in many, many years, and the most confident I've probably ever been.
Yeah, and it's it's crazy. Diet, riding a lot, exercise. It's kind of like
he's living.
You say that stuff, but
I've seen it. When I first started building my track, about 3 years ago, I mean, Jamie he'd come out to the house and he'd ride.
I don't even think I rode out there at the start because I've only been really riding back a lot in the last year.
Well, I mean, but back then you'd come to ride or whatever, and he might ride 3 laps.
Yeah.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah.
I mean, he would go, oh man, I'm just
arm pump. Yeah, wore
tired, hurting, and I'm like, and then he started training and eating right and.
Makes a difference.
I'm here for it, man. I need to. I'll be riding again soon when parts are on the way, so we'll get back out there. I need to lose my gut as well.
TJ just texted and said pit bikes are even more fun, which I've only rode pit bikes twice. I rode at that event up in Iowa, Winterset, that Race Tech puts on, and I rode at TJ's house right before like a week or so ago.
Well, TJ and I are short. Big bikes are fun.
Dude.
You'd have to get some really. You'd have to have some hangers.
I destroyed my right knee. Like I just kept hitting the bars. I didn't have my knee pads and it was a lot of fun. But I need shin guards for that because it sucked.
Well, and the
riding part
bars.
was fun, but every time I would move a little bit to get to the brake, I'd smash the.
You weren't doing it in boots, were you?
No, I was in full gear.
You were wearing boots?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
He told me that, but then all I had was like my decent shoes.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to.
The skateboarding shoes are the best for pit bike riding. Like a solid skateboard shoe and maybe like a shin guard or something.
Yeah. Well,
you can't ride in boots. It's impossible.
He told me like, why are you wearing gear? I'm like, because
you can wear everything except for the boots.
Yeah. Well, I did. So lesson learned. But anyway, we need to wrap the show up. I want to thank our presenting sponsors, Race Tech and Boyesen, also Prox, X Brand Guts, FXR 60, Luxon, Motul, and W. I want to thank Levi Kitchen, Maximus Vohland, and Mark Fineis, Steve Williamson for coming in studio. Scotty, thanks for being here. TJ, you suck. Other than that, I think we're out.